you put my favorite anime on there. I'm gonna hear your true and brutal thoughts about it.
Yes, I'm gonna be trying to be as true and brutal as I can today because I have this little like notes that I made on my phone that's been semi kept up with for like the past year of just all the animes that I've watched, along with a vague ranking of how much I like them. And it's so inefficient that, let me tell you, chat, I put ReZero at a 9 out of 10 at first. Obviously, it doesn't belong anywhere near a 9 out of 10. I did include some anime on here that I have not finished. I did not include ones that I only watched like an episode of because I don't think I could count my opinions for that. But for anime that I've watched like more than a season of, somewhere around half a season, I got a good feel for the show. I just haven't finished it yet. I'm still gonna rank them, but I'm gonna put them in a different tier. Speaking of, the tier list for today, I did a little special thing for you. Here we are.
Ooh,
Our
fancy.
special tier list for today. Every time we've done a tier list, there's just so many ads on my screen. Like, I still see the ads right now, but I've cropped it for you so that you don't. And it drives me absolutely bonkers. So I tried to crop it and make that look better. That way you can actually maybe see some of the titles. But I thought it would be interesting if we didn't just like put them on a tier list, but I also gave them a numerical ranking. That way the order of things actually makes a bit more impact. So I thought, what better way than to take after my judges in the blind date debate and do it like that on a 5 category out of 10 scale. So I got my chocolate milk. The 5 categories that we're going to be judging an anime on today. Every single one of these. Number 1, animation/style. I added something like style because sometimes the animation isn't really good, but the show has so much of a style that you don't really need to have like super compact or super packed animation the whole time. Something like your Don Don or Cowboy Bebop, they're just kind of eye candy all the time. 2, story. And each of these are out of 10, by the way. So a perfect story is a 10. Fantastic animation where it was just like every frame is a picture. Every frame is a piece of art. Is a 10. Soundtrack is number 3, also going to be out of 10. If I find myself going back to listen to the soundtrack, and not just 1 or 2 tracks, but like a bunch of them over and over and over again, that's a 10. Characters. If there are a bunch of bad characters that are in a good story, this category is going to be different from that. So bad characters in a good story. I don't know how they would do that because characters are what make the story, but just as an example. But characters that have resonated with me, you guys can already think of one, I'm sure, that just kind of stuck with me, is going to be a 10. And then finally, 5, I should mention that this is all going to be extremely biased. This is all my opinions. If you disagree, fuck you. I'm kidding. That's okay. If you disagree, I will try and see if I can send this template out into the Discord, and then you guys can rank these entries if you've watched them. Does that sound fun? But yeah, these are all my opinions. It ain't that serious. It ain't that deep. But number 5 is feeling. How did it make me feel? I think that's an extremely important part of an anime because or any piece of media, because if you put it down and you're like, wow, and you just kind of have to sit there and take it all in for a minute, that's a 10. If it's like, okay, that's closer to going to be like a 6, 7. And then if you are rushing to get it done for some reason or just have it on in the background, no feeling, you already know. All right. Without further ado, let's take a look at our first anime on here. So starting off with a, hold on. This happened last stream. the marathon stream, which I did upload as a VOD, by the way. It'll be coming up here within the next few days. I noticed that there was music being picked up by my microphone because I didn't have headphones on, and it claimed like so much of the fucking VOD. I hate copyright laws so much. I keep finding new ways to fuck myself over with it, so I'm going to turn on, because I don't want to put headphones on today, I'm going to turn on my, my stream beats, which I have not touched in a hot minute. Alright, there we go. Stream beats, they're not going to claim. Starting off with our first anime for today, Akame ga Kill. This is an anime that I heard about from... Where did I hear about Akame ga Kill? I think I just discovered it on a whim, and I was like, oh, these characters look kind of cool. So I tried watching it, and I did finish it, and we'll get to how it made me feel. But first, let's talk about what I gave it categorically on my first ever ranking, a 6 out of 10. So, I feel like a 6 out of 10 is above average. If 5 is average, 6 out of 10 is still above average, but it's not great. Akame ga Kill, if we're going off of animation, the animation of the show is pretty fucking good. There are a lot of moments in the show where you are just kind of sucked into this world, and they kind of do the medieval thing, and you feel like that's where you're going to be going with it, but they take you a totally different direction with all of the magical weapons that they end up doing. I don't remember what they're called. I think the animation would actually get a an 8 out of 10 for me. How am I going to tally these up? I didn't think about this. All right, here's what I'll do. I'm going to change this as we go. So animation, it gets an 8. Story. The story. So the story of Akame ga Kill. And if anyone wants to watch it, mute me. And when I wave, you can come back. All right? Sick. The story of Akame ga Kill is about this guy. I think his name is... No. I don't remember what the fuck. It's generic protag number 3. He is trying to become a adventurer or like a supreme guard or something like that for the kingdom. So he travels to the big city, tries to prove himself, and they're like, no. And then he gets kidnapped by this chick who... Or no. He's like... Long story short, he gets kidnapped. And then he gets kidnapped a second time by this group called Night Raid, who consists of all of the actual characters of the show. And he finds out that his whole life has been a lie. The Supreme Guard, the king, they're all corrupt or whatever, and Night Raid is trying to take them down. So he joins Night Raid and starts trying to kill off all these people. The story in the first parts of the show are excellent. But something you'll notice after the first character dies is there is a formulaic way that they will do the rest of the episodes going forward. They will get you attached to a character and kill them off within the next episode. Every single time. With every single character. There are 2 characters of the original cast that are still alive by the end of the show, and one of them isn't even the fucking main character. Let that sink in. Alright. People who muted me, you can come back now. The story of Akame ga Kill at first was really good, but I'm gonna give it a 6. I'm gonna give it a 4. 6 is really generous, because if most of it was unenjoyable, then I can't give it a 6 in my right mind. The soundtrack for Akame ga Kill, I don't remember it, so it's getting a 4. Or a 5, I guess. I think I remember like one part of it. Maybe like the main theme for Night Raid or something like that. But other than that, pretty not memorable. The characters in Akame ga Kill. I liked nearly every single character that they introduced. Too bad they all die. The characters get a 6. They're just above average. And then the feeling. By the end of the show, you feel like you have been sufficiently robbed of so much of your time that I cannot justify having anyone watch this show. The feeling was a straight 3, which puts our score 8 plus 4 equals 12, plus 5 equals 17, plus 6 equals 23, plus 3 equals 26. Putting that on the tier list, I think it is a meh. A 26 for Akame ga Kill. I'm going to see if I can speed up the rest of these, unless, I mean, I don't know how much time you guys got. The next anime we have on our list, One Punch Man. I really like One Punch Man. So One Punch Man, the story, or the animation, depending on which season you watch, is some of the best fucking animation that you have ever seen in an anime, or it's pretty good. I don't think it's ever bad. Like, some people are super, super critical of the second season of One Punch Man for not being animated by the gods of animation. But legit, it's still a good-looking show. So I would give the animation and the style of One Punch Man an 8. Because it also balances humor and seriousness in its animation very well. All right, story. The story of One Punch Man is so fucking wacko, out of this world crazy, because it's a parody of a genre that has been overdone nowadays. It's incredibly funny, but it's also, with its side characters, extremely heartfelt at times. I'm gonna give the story an 8 as well. The soundtrack for One Punch Man. So, remember I was saying earlier, if I have a song on repeat, the opening to the original season of One Punch Man is so fucking fire. It is produced by a band called Evo, Jam Project. No, it's just called Jam Project. Jam Project made the first soundtrack opening for One Punch Man, and they also made, fun fact, Transformers Animated's Japanese opening. Both of them are fucking fire. I'm gonna give the soundtrack a 7 just because that's the only track I remember from the whole show. Besides that, it isn't like super memorable. It's got like some gnarly guitars and stuff like that. But nothing I've watched on repeat. To this screen. We're back. Welcome back. Apologies. I told you guys I was going to fix the OBS problem on the marathon stream. I didn't do that. So it's still a problem. Fantastic. All right. Since we're back, you guys probably missed the feeling part of One Punch Man, so I'll go back to that. One Punch Man makes me feel like I am just living in pure elation. It's the only anime that I've ever tried to get my mom and dad to watch, and they had watched the first episode. So they didn't love it, but they understood it. It's a parody, it's funny, and it makes you just feel happier. I'm gonna give it, since it's not like a groundbreaking feeling it makes you feel, I'm also just gonna give it a 7. So, tallying those up, I have an 8, and an 8, 16, I have a 7, which puts us at 23, a 10, putting us at 33, and a 7, putting us at 40. A 40 out of 50 for our score today. React Bot, how do you feel about One Punch Man?
Gonna show this to Gam Gam.
Let's fucking go. You should, dude. You should. I would say it's a little bit more than enjoyable. I said it's rewatchable because I have also rewatched it. A 40 out of 50 is really good. Okay. Next up, a slightly more, I wouldn't say obscure. I don't think that's a fair word, but an anime that I don't feel like gets talked about enough. Assassination Classroom. Granted, remind you guys, all of these are from memory. Some of these shows I have not watched in years, so if there's things I don't remember about them because I haven't rewatched them, then that's just going to be what it is. Assassination Classroom, the animation and style, I'd say is average. I'm going to give it a 6 though. It looks good, but I don't remember it ever being like super groundbreaking. The story, I don't remember like the ins and the outs of the story, but I remember the backstory for the teacher, the main character's story, and where he ended up. I would give it a 7. Bless you. The soundtrack, I don't remember at all. So I don't really think it's fair for me to give it anything less or more than a 5 to be average. Characters. I liked about 3 of the characters. It was the teacher, the main kid, and the redheaded kid. I don't remember any of their names because it's been years, but I liked those characters. I would give the characters I'll give it another 7. Because it was I remember it being like very heartfelt and emotional and very sincere. The feeling after watching Assassination Classroom was content, I remember it being. It was just a very full circle kind of show that felt good to finish. I wasn't left wanting more, but in a good way. I feel like it covered all the bases. I would give it, it was an 8. Content is a great feeling. Karma and Nagisa. Yeah, that is it, Elena. Thank you. Tallying up the points for Assassination Classroom, we get 6 plus 7 equals... I wasn't expecting you to do so much math, dude. 13. Plus 5 equals 22. Plus 7 equals 29. Plus 8 equals 37. I would put Assassination Classroom... I think it's probably the top of enjoyable, and I could be convinced to put it at the bottom of rewatchable, depending on when we get there. But yeah, so far that's where we're sitting. Reactbot, did you like Assassination Classroom? Okay. I'm so glad you get to hear him this time.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, moving on to a show that is unfortunately not going to go in a category like the rest of these. So the next show is The Promised Neverland. Technically, I have not finished The Promised Neverland. There is a second season. I'm not going to watch it. According to everyone that I've ever talked to who's watched it, they're like, don't. My morbid curiosity has gotten me close several times, but overall, I have not watched, and Lena even says, yeah, don't watch season 2. So it's going to go in the have not finished category, but let's go ahead and give it its points and flowers either way. Salmon, watch the first season of The Promised Neverland. It is a fucking masterclass in horror. So, the animation and the style. The animation and some of the shit that they did in that show, with how dark it is, but still showing so much grit and detail, the lighting is fucking phenomenal. It's getting a 9. And this is just for the first season. I'm basing this rank entirely off the first season. The story of The Promised Neverland is absolutely tragic. It is really, really gut-wrenching at times, but it is also extremely fulfilling towards the end. I would give that another 9. The soundtrack, I only remember one song, and that's the song that the mother sang to her children. The ooh, ooh, ooh. That's the only one I remember. I'd give it a 6. Characters. The characters in this show are one of two things. They are an adult who is fucking terrifying at times while also having this wolf in sheep's clothing type of air to them of comfort. Or they are a kid who are on your side to begin with, but you feel like at any time could absolutely betray the main characters or everyone else and fuck up the whole show. I really like the characters. I'm gonna give it an 8. Some of them did feel like kind of copy-paste, though, so take that as you will. And the feeling at the end of The Promised Neverland was, holy shit. At the end of the first season, it was, holy shit. I can't wait to see where they go with this. And I'll never see where they go with this. But season 1 was a fantastic show. I think this, the feeling at the end of season 1 was, I give it a 7. It was a nice bittersweet ending, if a little bit predictable. So, tallying up the scores for The Promised Neverland, we have 9 and 9 making 18, plus 6 equals 24. Yeah, that's right. 8 on top of that, making 32, plus 7 equals 39. Which does outrank the Assassination Classroom, which, if it were to go, it would go here. Or there. But unfortunately, I have to put it in this category of have not finished. Because, you know, I haven't finished it. ReactBot, did you finish The Promised Neverland? What'd you think?
This is so millennial coded.
I mean, sure. All right, next up. This one is going to be very personal to me. Beyblade. The Metal series. So that is Beyblade Metal Fusion, Beyblade Metal Masters, and Beyblade Metal Fury. They are all technically the same show. That's why I'm counting them in one thing. There is a spin-off, which we'll get to after. But Beyblade Metal Fight is what the whole series is called. I gave an 8 out of 10 on my little score. Because this is the first anime that I've ever watched. That I ever watched when I was a kid. We'd watch it before we went to school. It would be it would be on right before Pokemon came on, and that's when I would stop watching the TV because I don't like Pokemon.
Lame.
But Beyblade is just such an over-the-top mess of a show, but it's so fucking fun. It has no right to be as fun as it is. Forgot about Beyblade. I've seen it. I like it, but I've also, but it's also really goofy if you think at all. Yeah. No, it's super goofy. But what I like about Beyblade is how much they tried to actually ground the show. Do you need allergy medicine?
Yeah, I know where it is.
Okay. What I like about Beyblade is how much they actually tried to ground the show in scientific facts. And they actually did it pretty successfully. Like, the stuff makes sense. The only thing that separates... One of the big things that separates our Beyblades with the Beyblades in the show is how fast they spin. Everything else could work. Almost everything else could work. Anyway, Beyblade. The animation of Beyblade. So, it was a very it came out in 2009, so it was right before, like, the super emo boom of anime where everything was, like, really dark and gritty. So Beyblade was still kind of in that era of super over-the-top, After Effects visuals. It's nothing to write home about today, but at the time, watching some of that shit when I was 10 years old, I was like, holy shit, dude. It's so badass. I'm gonna give it a 7. And it only improved as it went on too. So the story of Beyblade is so fucking whack, but it's a kid's show. It's about these spinning tops that are made from a meteor that crashed down on Earth that has a special metal that, when made into these tops, can actually respond to your commands and you have a physical link to, but they never explore that part. But you battle with other tops and it's basically become like guns. They can be used as weapons, or you can take them out to the range with your buddies and have fun with them. Except 5-year-olds are allowed to have them. The story of Beyblade is whack, but it's so endearing. It is absolutely committed to doing exactly what it wants to. I'm gonna give it an 8. Just the concept that they take a top and make it into an actual character that never speaks. Yeah, basically. They explore it in other versions. I mean, I don't want to watch the other versions. Metal's where it's at. The soundtrack for Beyblade has not been released. But there have been people on the internet, and specifically one guy, I can't remember his name, he is making it his life work to restore and like separate the music used in the show from the actual show and post it onto YouTube. And dude, the Beyblade soundtrack is fucking phenomenal. It is a 9. Actually, I'd give it a 10 because it's one of those that I've gone back and listened to over and over and over again. And it's so... Anyway. The characters in Beyblade. Okay. The characters in Beyblade are either some of my favorite characters in media. Specifically, there's one character that has stuck with me all of my life. I love him so fucking much. If I were to get another anime figurine, it would probably be of him. It is Ryuga, the main villain of Season 1. Just such a badass character with his El Drago. I might actually have one ready. With El Drago was his Beyblade of choice here. Just such a badass character that had a badass Beyblade. And a badass theme, too. They did my boy right. In every single sense. El Drago, Ryuga, the Dragon Emperor, everything about him was phenomenal. Unfortunately, there are a lot of characters in Beyblade that just are so annoying. That kind of drag the score down to an 8. Like, a lot of people don't like Jenga. I think Jenga's fine. And then lastly, the feeling. The feeling of Beyblade, it really is one of those shows that makes you just want to get off your ass and do something. And if it's actually collecting Beyblades like it was for me, it might be absolutely useless in the grand scheme of things, but it was extremely fun. A show that can inspire you like that deserves nothing less than a 9 in my eyes. So tallying up Beyblade's points, I have a 7 and an 8, making 15, plus 10 equals 25, plus 8 equals 33, plus 9 equals 42. Our highest score yet for a show that no one really cares about as much anymore other than, like, me or a few remote places on the internet. So, 42 is really scratching the surface of the greatest. You know? I think if it's a 45 or more, then it probably should be in the greatest. I'm a... Fuck it, dude. It belongs there. For me. For me, it belongs there. Alright. Next up. Toradora. This was a show that originally Julia wanted me to watch. We kind of binged it together separately in like the same night, and I'll tell you what I remember about it. It is the first romance anime, like strictly romance anime that I ever watched. Oh wait, no. Sorry. I just completely skipped over one.
Oh.
Beyblade Shogun Steel. The spin-off to Beyblade Metal Fight, which I am going to count as a separate series because it has a completely different main character and cast. It has a different type of Beyblade and all that. So apologies. Let me add this in really quick. Beyblade Shogun Steel. All right. Beyblade Shogun Steel. I'm gonna quickly run through this. The animation was about the same, I would say, overall. Nothing to write home about. The story, I think, was significantly worse. It was not nearly as engaging. Because we had just gone on this super grand, huge adventure with Beyblade Metal Fight, and then they bring it back down to small scale with Shogun Steel and make it a little more sportsy, but also kind of have this conspiracy that pops up halfway through. I didn't love it. It's a 6. The soundtrack, I don't remember at all, so that's going to be another 5 for the soundtrack. The characters, I did not like as much as the Metal Fight characters. They were not as engaging, and a lot of them were very, very one note. So I'd give that a 5. The feeling after finishing Shogun Steel was a lot of, why? Why did we make this? Why did you not carry on this other story and let us catch up with more of the lives of these characters that we actually care about than try and make us watch new ones, but then also tease the old characters like, hey, they're still here. It's like what Marvel's doing right now, dude. It's like, I don't give a shit about these new characters. You have to make me give a shit about them. You can't just have these other characters from the past be like, these guys are the shit now, man. It's like, no. You can't just pass the baton like that, as lazy as you are. I'm gonna give that a 4. Equaling up to, let's see, that's 7 and 6 equals 13, plus 5 equals 18, plus another 5 equals 23, plus 4 equals 27. Which is the second lowest score that we've had so far. Coming in just above a Kamega kill at meh. Now we'll move on to Tor. Actually, ReactBot. What did you think about Shogun Steel?
Shut up, Yapatron.
Damn.
That's a pretty scathing review from ReactBot. I'm just gonna pretend like he didn't say that to me. Alright. Toradora. Reiterate. First romance anime that I've ever watched. I didn't think it was super crazy storytelling, and that's something I learned is a theme throughout every romance anime.
They don't give a shit about the storyline.
The storyline takes second place to putting characters in situations that is either funny or very sexual, which I'm not a fan of. So the animation and style of Toradora, I actually really like the style of Toradora. It's very cartoony, but it's also kind of stylized like Cowboy Bebop is, with very exaggerated poses and recognizable silhouettes, which is huge. I've given the style an 8. The story of Toradora, I don't remember. All I remember is that dude likes this girl named Taiga. I don't remember why I don't know why I know her name and not the main character's name.
Well, she's kind of the main character.
She is kind of.
She's like the second. They're both the main characters.
Taiga's who you're there for. The main character is just who you're watching the story from the eyes of. So he likes Taiga, but also kind of has a crush on this redheaded chick who may or may. He kind of plays this like love triangle thing with them at first, and apparently, just looking at the poster of it, there's apparently another dude in there that I don't remember the character of at all with the glasses.
So Taiga and the guy start fake dating, basically, kind of, sort of, to try and get the other two characters to like them. But then, like, as they're kind of, like, fake dating and in all of these dating situations, they kind of realize, oh, I don't actually like who I thought I liked. I actually like this other person.
So can I tell you something? I don't remember any of that.
It's good. It was.
I don't remember any of
I
that
just
except
thought
for
it
like
was
maybe
really
the
cute.
ending of where they're like, "Oh, I do actually like you." Toradora is the story for Toradora is I don't like you. Maybe I like you.
Well,
Let's get married.
No, literally, the last episode they get married.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa.
I'd say
That's
it's
a bit much.
I'd
but-
say it's a 6. Like it's definitely carried by its characters. The story itself is extremely archetypal.
Yeah, that's what all romance animes are. There's all of these, what are they called? Tropes.
Yeah.
There's all these tropes that a lot of romance, like there's always a beach episode.
Yeah.
There's always, I'm trying to think of another one. The beach episode is like the most.
That's when viewership spikes.
Yeah, exactly, because all the girls are in bikinis.
Yep.
It's really cute.
I'm giving the soundtrack a 5. I don't remember the soundtrack.
Elena, what are other romance anime tropes? I'm blanking. All I can remember is the beach episode.
Well, there's character tropes like the tsundere. There's story tropes like the protagonist who doubts himself but is way better at things than he actually believes. There's like the ditzy girl. I mean, there's so many tropes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give the soundtrack a 5. I'm going to give the characters a 7. I think the main two protagonists are extremely strong. I remember the designs for the two other characters. I remember like the personality of the redheaded chick, but I don't remember Glasses Dude at all. And then the feeling after Toradora. Bless you.
Thank you.
The feeling after Toradora, I would describe it as it's content, but also a little bit like, It just feels like we ran this whole big race to get to what we already kind of knew what would happen. And that's something that romance animes are generally going to struggle with my rankings, is because they are the most predictable piece of shit ever. But it's okay. Sometimes you just need to like chew on some snack food. So the feeling after Toradora, I'd give it a 5. It's average. Tallying up, Toradora. We got an 8 and a 6, making a 14, a 5, making a 19, a 7, making a 26, and a 5, bringing us up to 31. A pretty reasonable score. So if I'm looking at my others, I have a 37 for Assassination Classroom. I'm going to put it above meh. It definitely deserves to be above meh.
It's just a cute little romance story.
It's very harmless.
It's a palate cleanser, really.
A palate cleanser, sure. And it's only 12 episodes.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very succinct show. It's very inoffensive.
At least it doesn't drag it on for like 6 seasons.
Yeah, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that one. Next up, I doubt many of you have watched this. Yeah, bring it off. I doubt many of you have watched this, but you are going to find that, to your surprise, ReZero, by the numbers, is my favorite anime of all time, but the one that means the most to me is Hajime no Ippo. This anime changed my life. And that's not even an exaggeration, it straight up changed my life. For 2 years, it changed my life. You've probably heard of it, but you have not likely watched it, because it is an oldie, but it is a goodie. You want to put that back on the wall?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
This is the only good present I ever got him.
It's a fantastic present. It sits right next to me, just off camera. You guys probably won't ever see it. All right, so Hajime no Ippo, I gave a 10 out of 10 on my little score here, but let's give it another fair shake. So the animation in the style of Hajime no Ippo, to be fair, it is an old anime. The animation is not fantastic. It's a little heavy on lines. You can kind of see the noise throughout the older episodes. But when they get to the fucking boxing matches, dude, it goes up tenfold. There are parts of it like Baki's animation where some of the characters just get super muscular out of nowhere and you're like, huh? but it works so well to deliver a more impactful fight. I'm gonna give the animation a 9 because when it hits, it fucking hits, dude. The story of Hajime no Ippo is one about self-doubt, overcoming self-doubt, fighting ego, trusting your friends, learning humility, all of these things. There's so many different stories and themes throughout this show that you can see throughout every single character, and every single one of them hits perfectly. It's a 10. The soundtrack of Hajime no Ippo is also going to get a 10. It is one of the only anime that I've ever watched where I have downloaded the albums for. There have been 3 albums released, and every single one of them, if you put them on in the gym, everyone is going to be working out better. Like, they are phenomenal soundtracks. And even the heartfelt ones, too, are just amazing. They did this kind of, like, for The Rock, they did this more experimental kind of prog garage bandy sound. I simply can't explain it. If you have not heard the Hajime no Ippo soundtrack, go listen to it. It's phenomenal. Or just watch the show. Do both. All of them. The characters are an easy 10. There is not a single character in that show that you don't at least feel something for. When they're good, they're great. And when they are great, they are unforgettable. Miyata, Ippo, I think I'm forgetting the coach name. Kawagawa, Coach Kawagawa. What is the name of the big guy? My point is, I don't remember anime names very well, but I know so many of the names from the characters in that show. Their silhouettes is another thing. Their silhouettes are fantastic. Each one of them has a backstory that does not feel forced. It's another 10 for the characters. And then finally, the feeling after Hajime no Ippo is a 10. Backstory time. I was watching this show on the whim of a wrestler's recommendation that I liked. He was getting this chiropractic session from a dude, and he's just like, "You watch any anime?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah." He's like, "What kind do you watch?" And he goes, Yuri on Ice and Hajime no Ippo.
Was that Kenny Omega?
It was Kenny Omega.
The fact that he's watched Yuri on Ice. God, that anime is so bad.
But he was like, "I love Yuri on Ice and I love Hajime no Ippo." And I'm like, "What's Hajime no Ippo?" And I looked it up, and I'd seen the main character before, and I was like, okay, it's all free on YouTube. Might as well give it a shot. That anime was so inspirational, it made me feel so strongly about myself that I tried to become a professional wrestler because it got me off my ass to try and do that. I would have never thought I would try that before, but I took a 2-year section of my life and dedicate it solely to wrestling. For better or for worse. It did not lead anywhere, but I did do it, and I do here. Oh, I'm fucking it up right now. Things are dying. Oh, that's a cord. All right, we're not gonna touch it. I was gonna pull down my diploma of completing the wrestling school, but it's on a shelf and has so many things hanging off of it. I'm not gonna do that right now.
You can show them the blockbusters.
Oh yeah.
There are pictures up there. That English.
I guess one of the pieces of surviving evidence that I did this is a signed portrait of 2 of my buddies that I made in wrestling class. Jordan Sparks and Toby Farmstrong. I fucking love these guys so much.
So sweet.
They look like super scary dudes, but they're both the sweetest dudes I've ever met. They're from England. They came all the way over from England to do the same class as me. And they were already wrestlers before that, so they kind of knew their shit, but... Oh, Toby St. John. Yeah. Farm strong was his kind of catchphrase.
Yeah.
I love these guys so much.
Armstrong, Toby.
Farm strong, Toby John, or St. John.
Yeah.
He had the weirdest English accent I've ever heard. It was like
He like kind of sounded American, but not really.
he would actually pronounce his R's, and it's because he grew up right in between Scotland and England, or not England, Scotland and and maybe it was London. I can't remember. Whatever borders like Scotland. He was in like the farms next to Scotland. So, anyway, Toby St. John, Jordan Sparks. I fucking love these guys. I miss them so much. One time, one of my coworkers was saying he was talking shit about my wrestling classes, and I had Toby St. John on Facebook Messenger. I added him. I tagged him, was like, yo, man, I have one of my coworkers named Anise. He's talking shit about you and saying that you're not real. Can you send like a little voice message just talking shit and cutting a little promo on him? And he's like, yeah, of course. Let me see if I can find this. What he sent, I played it live in front of Anise, and it was one of the, like, we both were dying laughing. All right. Let me play this for you really quick.
This is a message for Anise. Anise, I hear that you don't believe that Farmstrong Toby St. John exists. I hear you don't believe that one half of the greatest tag team in the world, the Blockbusters, exists. Well, I'm here to tell you I do exist. And I don't like hearing all this nonsense. So this is a message from me and from Skylar. Anise, you may be big and you may be bad, but you ain't Farmstrong. So keep that to yourself.
He's so good.
Thank you so much, Toby. You like, if you're watching this, that legit made our fucking week. We still talk about it all the time. He's one of the best. So anyway, a whole part of my life was dedicated to this whole wrestling thing, and that is purely because Hajime no Ippo was so inspiring that it got me off my ass to do so. Which, adding up our points, 4 10s is 40, plus 9 equals 49. That is the highest score we've given out so far, putting it firmly in the greatest section. Let me put this picture up really quick, and then we'll move on to a controversial one, I would say.
Oh, very controversial.
Chat, I'm gonna come out and say it. I really like My Hero Academia. I think it gets way more hate than it deserves. And let's go into why. So, the animation and style of My Hero Academia is not the prettiest. I know the line art, some people talk about like the character designs, it being a little bit too much at times. But I think with how cartoony it is, how over the top, it displays even bigger emotions than what is possible in some other anime. I would give the animation a 9 out of 10. Damn near frame for frame phenomenal. Like when you're getting to the action scenes especially, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. The story of My Hero Academia is not the simplest one to follow. Like if you're looking at it in broad terms, it makes sense. But sometimes the show does kind of pivot and not pivot, but it does kind of backslide and feel like, okay, we're retreading some of the same path here. I'm gonna give the story an 8. The soundtrack, I can't say I remember the soundtrack from My Hero. Yeah, I'm gonna give it another 5. It never stood out to me. Characters. So there are a lot of characters in My Hero Academia. Some of them, I think, okay, so nearly every single one of them has been given the spotlight in some way, and I think the show actually does a phenomenal job at balancing all of these different characters. It's so many. I don't know how they balance that many. I can barely do 4. Balancing that many characters, that many arcs, that many stories that they personally have is nothing short of fantastic. But some of them are better than others, and that's that. I'm gonna give the characters an 8. Oh, My Hero Academia also, it's close to having a claim to one of my favorite characters in all of anime, and that is Lemillion. Lemillion in season 4 was, he touched my heart, man. It was just a phenomenal character from beginning to end of all of his arcs. I do think they brought him back a bit lame, though. Anyway. So, we got our characters. Lastly, the feeling. My Hero Academia has not ended yet. It is an ongoing show, which I think this is... Oh, no, One Punch Man is still ongoing, too. And that's the only one. So... Besides One Punch Man, My Hero is the only one that's still ongoing. It doesn't have a conclusive ending yet. It does have a season that ends on a cliffhanger, and that's the last you've seen of it. Besides the movies, if you've watched those, I have not. I'm not going to put that in the have not finished section because the OVAs are optional. Some people have talked about the ending of the show, and I've heard mixed things. I have not watched it. I don't know what it is. So for me, the feeling that I think about when I think of My Hero Academia is the absolute heart-pounding sincerity and action that you get with that show and how much it kicks ass with how unique the fights are. I'm gonna also give that an 8. Putting our score 9 and 8, making 17. Plus 5 making 22, plus another 8 making 30, and then bringing us up to 38 with that final piece. Let's go ahead and put that on the tier list at, let's see. I would say it's rewatchable. I'll put it at the bottom of rewatchable because I've rewatched it, and that is a big category to fill. The reason I labeled it that is I don't like rewatching things generally. There are a few shows that I make an exception for, but generally speaking, I like just getting the experience the first time, and if that's all the show has to offer, then I'm more than happy to just let it sit at that. Which I can say is true about this next one, which is our first movie anime of the tier list. It is called Your Name. Your Name is an anime movie that was a recommendation from my bandmate Joe. Julia and I watched it, and I put it a 7 out of 10. I didn't mind it. I thought it had a very interesting story. It was a little bit convoluted, but it was very like full circle, and you understood it perfectly by the end.
I cried so hard.
Julia did cry so hard.
God.
So the animation in the style of Your Name is absolutely gorgeous in every single shot. It is a 10. I think that's the first 10 for animation that we've had. Because it's a movie, there's not as many frames to animate, and so they get a lot bigger of a chance to make it frame for frame perfect. The story of Your Name, like I said, a little bit confusing. It's like kind of a body swap thing, but also kind of a love story thing happening at the same time, running parallel. I enjoyed it. I would give it a 7. The soundtrack, I don't remember. That's a 5. I'm just going to default to 5 for don't remember. I feel like that's fair because it could have been good or it could have been bad. I don't remember. It's a 5. The characters. The two main characters are in their own ways extremely endearing. There were no obtrusive characters or anything like that. They all felt like they had their place in the story pretty well. I'll give that another 8. And the feeling after watching that movie for me, it is a romance thing, so I was like, I saw the part coming, but they kind of teased it. They didn't quite give you exactly what you wanted. They came full circle, and the last line of the movie is, "What was your name?" Or something like that. I like how they teased it. And so the feeling of the movie was like, oh, that's a 7. Yes?
Is this a movie? Is this a movie where the girl was deaf, or was that a different movie?
That is a silent voice.
Oh God, that one made me cry.
Well, that one's on here. We'll get to it.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Tallying up the points for your name, we've got 10 and 7 making 17, 5 and making 22, plus 8 equals 30, and then a 7 making 37. So numerically, I enjoyed this more than I thought I did. I mean, it is just good, right? So I would say that is right next to My Hero in terms of rewatchability, because it also, you know, is a movie. Reactbot, what'd you think of this one?
Garbage.
Reactbot, not a fan of your name at all. He might just not like romance things, I think.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Oh, it's fucking funny. All right, next up, Danganronpa the anime. If you don't know, Danganronpa is a game, and it's really fucked up. It's kind of like Persona in the sense that, what are they called? Are they called RPGs? I don't know.
Role-playing game?
Yeah, I don't know what category of game that the Danganronpa games fall into. But it's different from any game I've ever played or watched anyone else play. The game is really, really long. So when I saw the anime, I was like, oh, maybe they'll just take out the fluff of that game, condense it down to just the good parts of the story, and we can go from there, right? So the anime skips over a lot. And I'm not talking about a lot of important stuff. It just skips over absolutely everything that you could categorically maybe put into fluff. And so it just goes, shoo, because I think it's only like 12 episodes long. It just speeds through everything. So it's a very compact story, for the first season. The second season is a little different. So what they did is they released a second game, and then and before they released the third game, they made the anime for season 1, and then made 2 more anime, but they were both a kind of season 2 and 3, but you were supposed to watch 1 episode of this season and then 1 episode of this season. You don't want to just watch them back to back. It was the strangest viewing experience I've ever done, and I had to look at 2 or 3 websites just to figure out the watch order and ask my coworker who was recommending this to me originally. All that being said, Danganronpa, the animation is, I think it's pretty neat and gritty at times. The style, I give it a 7. The story is one of the weirdest fucking out there stories that I have ever seen, and is the only piece of media that I think I have ever watched where I had to pause it and walk away from the screen for a minute because I was so repulsed by something. Which can be put in as a good thing because it's making me feel emotions that it wants me to feel, but there were also just times in the anime where I wanted to drop it because it was just so nothing. Anyway, the story's a 6. It is above average in the sense that it goes for a lot of crazy out there things, but it just makes no fucking sense. The soundtrack, I don't remember it. It's a 5. The characters in Danganronpa are extremely popular, or some of them are, for a reason. Their designs, their backstories, shit, even some of their names, like Teru is one of their names. are so whack job out there, but they're fun. They're just really fun characters. I'm gonna give it a 7. The feeling after you finish Danganronpa is not great. You love Oma? Of course you do. She likes Kokichi.
Which one is that?
The
Kokichi's
one with the purple hair.
Kokichi's the one that I would compare to like Starscream. He was the ultimate supervillain or something like that. With like the black and white scarf.
And the purple hair.
I guess he did have purple hair. I don't remember.
And it was like it like
Yeah, he's a liar. He was fun. My favorite was well, no, that's the third game. We're not talking about that. Ultimate Supreme Leader. We're talking about strictly the anime, which does not have Kokichi in it. The anime has the season 1 and season 2, or the game 1 and game 2 casts. So like Nagito. Nagito, people non-stop talk about him. And for good reason. Like, he's super out there, interesting.
You know who my favorite character is? Sayaka.
You like Sayaka. Yeah.
Even though she dies in the first, like...
Anyway, the feeling after watching Danganronpa the anime is not great. I would give it a 4. I did not enjoy the feelings that it made me feel. Tallying this up, we get a 7 and a 6, making 13, a plus 5, making 18. Another 7, making it 25, plus 4, making it 29. A better score than I expected for this anime. Let's see where that sets us. Oh, never mind. It's the second lowest I've given out so far. Okay. It goes firmly into... I wouldn't say it's... Is it grody? Would I put it in grody?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would put it in grody. Oh shit, chat. Are you ready? So next up, possibly in one of the most predictable things ever, ReZero, Starting Life in Another World. If you know anything about me, if you've watched anything that I've done, if you have listened to me talk about anything, it doesn't even have to be anime, I have talked about ReZero and glazed this show so fucking hard. I want to give it a rewatch soon, just to like experience it again, because a fun thing about ReZero is the more you rewatch it, the more you notice. I was talking earlier how I don't often rewatch anime unless there's something else that you can gather from another rewatch, and consistently, every time I've rewatched ReZero, I have noticed things that they've teased, understood characters better. It's fucking amazing. So, where do I even start with this show in terms of these 5 categories? Animation isn't crazy. The animation in season 3 is great. The animation in season 1 is really good. The animation in season 2 is fine. But I think what I want to tackle with this one is less the animation and more the other part of this category that I added called style. The style of ReZero is extremely gritty, but also like optimistic. I don't know how to quite describe it, but everything from the sets, the characters themselves is just beaming with this absolute charisma. I love everything about it. I mean, I'm going to give it a 9 because I don't think it's the best animation in the world. It's not frame for frame. You can make a wallpaper out of it. But at times it's gorgeous. All right, I'm back. I don't remember where I left off or what we were talking about. So, which category? It was story. So, the story, it only gets better, and it only gets way better. I can tell you from experience, Arc 6, phenomenal. had me crying several times. Arc 7, at least the first book, one of the most intriguing reads or stories that I've ever read or watched or done, consumed. How about that? Consumed. I'm not a reader, okay? I don't read books often. This is the only series of books that I've ever read on my own volition. So it'll usually take me like, no shit, weeks to go through one because I'll only do like 10, 20 pages at a time. I finished this in a day. Arc 7 is that good. Wait till you guys fucking see it, but also wait till you guys see Arc 6 because holy shit. It deserves nothing less than a 10 out of for the story because of how complex it is, how endearing it is, and how consistent it is with its continuity. Moving on to soundtrack, has one of the best soundtracks that I've ever heard in an anime from a fella named Kenichiro Suhiro. Kenichiro Suhiro has made masterpieces for this show. He cooked real hard. He didn't need to because the story would have carried it well enough, but the soundtrack just entrances you into this fantastical world where so much crazy shit is happening, but it grounds you. I love it. And it's one of the only, if not, I think the only show out of this list besides, oh shit, I need to put, Full Metal Alchemist on here, I guess, because I'm watching that one. It's one of the only series in my repertoire of shows that can claim to have made a requiem. And if you guys don't know what a requiem is, I believe the literal definition of requiem is it's a song written for someone who's fallen.
I think so.
A mass said or sung for the repose of a departed soul. So that can mean a bunch of different things. You could technically say All Dead by Queen is a requiem. But in the classical sense, a requiem is a song that has movements, has ups and downs, takes you on this whole roller coaster of emotion, but is primarily really fucking intense or sad. And we got a fit check, so let me put these books up and I'll do that for us really quick. All right, fit check time. So, all right, I'll hydrate. So we got the dark gray charcoal jeans with the black sneaks. I was wearing this leather jacket earlier, the one that I crashed in, and we've also got my limited edition MJF Better Than You pinstripe shirt, and I will hydrate.
I only watched the first episode.
Elena says, I don't think I can ever watch Full Metal Alchemist with what I've heard about it. So, the original Full Metal Alchemist, the one made in 2003, that's the one I'm watching right now. We'll get to it. It's not super traumatizing or anything like that. It's really sad at times, but nothing crazy. I've heard Brotherhood is the one that might be traumatizing. So let's see. Let me add this to our thing really quick. How could I forget about Full Metal Alchemist? Anywho. So, we're moving pretty quickly through these, I would say. Let's keep it going. Oh yeah, back to ReZero. So, the characters. So the characters of ReZero, are, I would say, the most complex, well-written characters in any fiction because you get to see every single side of them. If you don't know, in ReZero, the main character, Subaru Natsuki, has an ability where when he dies, he returns to a certain checkpoint that was set in his life. Which at first sounds awesome. But what the show does very well is it explores how fucking bad and traumatizing that would be. Watching yourself die, watching other people die, seeing the absolute worst of this person in one life and seeing the absolute best of them in another, having these conflicting feelings about who to trust based off of things that happened in a different life. Literally. Return by Death just gives so much to world building. It really does, because it's a brilliant tactic by Tape Nagatsuki to just have an excuse to explore these things that are way outside the scope of the normal flagship story, but have a perfect excuse to do so because it can just reset and come back to this and we'll do something different this time. So the characters in ReZero, you get to see every single corner of, and I think that is such a phenomenal consequence of the actual story that they're getting a 10. Even if you don't like the characters, even if you don't like the main character, you get to see so much growth from him that it, by the end, or not even the end, we're at arc 7 right now. There's supposed to be 11 arcs, so we're not even close to the end, but already he is one of my favorite characters in all of fiction. The feeling when you're watching ReZero, I am addicted to. Truly addicted to. When you're watching ReZero, it simultaneously has this feeling of dread, hope, anarchy. Like, there's so many different things mixing in this kind of vat chemical that is the story of ReZero. I truly can't describe it, and it is an extremely personal feeling to me. I just recommended it to one of our friends, Jacob, aka Inca, who you guys may recognize in the server, and he sent me an apology letter when he... So it was really sweet of him. He, like, really buttered it up. He's like, yo, man, you know I love you. I respect you as a man, and I respect your choices in content, but I just don't like ReZero. I'm like, it's okay. It's something that I truly don't think is for everyone, and something that I've learned from myself about watching this is I don't have to recommend this show to everyone for me to justify why I like it myself. It existing on its own is good enough for me. Do I want more people to love it like I do? Absolutely. But I am perfectly content having this show and being as happy with it as I am. And for that reason, it breaks the scale and it gets an 11. I'm sorry, but the feeling that ReZero gives me is simply unbeatable, which does mathematically put us at a perfect 50, meaning that it is at the top of the greatest. ReactBot, after all that, what do you think about ReZero?
What are the odds?
What? Try again.
What can't women do?
Okay. Honestly, in that show, there's very little that women can't do. It's actually very, very pro-feminist, I'd say.
Rem is the number one.
Rem is number one.
Amelia in the episodes that came out recently that we were watching, she became pretty cool, but I mean, she doesn't have that big old fucking...
The Morning Star?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That shit's cool.
So we love Amelia. Of course we love Amelia. She's the main girl. She's, I wouldn't say she's the best girl, but she is the main girl. And she has a lot of character development that comes in later on the show. But in one of the more controversial moves by Tape Nagatsuki, he gave all of the good character development to someone else. Rem. She's returned to the streams, chat. Rem and Ippo from Hajime no Ippo are the only two physical pieces of anime merchandise in my entire life. I guess besides Beyblade, if you really want to count that. They're more toys. The characters of Rem and Ippo have stuck with me so much that I actually got to meet the voice actress for Rem, Brianna Knickerbocker. She is one of the sweetest people I have ever met that is a celebrity, and just pure good vibes.
She's so cute.
She is very cute. Yeah, and I have a she signed a ReZero poster for me. If anyone's ever wondered what this one is, that's what it is.
I don't have any anime things. No, that's false.
You got Pokemon stuff. That counts.
Does it though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pokemon's an anime.
Pokemon?
Yeah, she's playing it right now.
Pokemon?
All right. So that gives us a 50 out of 50 for ReZero. Obviously, it's me. I'm going to give a 50 out of 50 for ReZero. But let's move on to something that I have found that people are more split on than I expected. My Dress Up Darling.
I love My Dress Up Darling.
I watched this show with the... All right, I watched this show with the intention of degeneracy and also morbid curiosity. Like, this show is not one that you're going to watch for the action-packed adventure or the emotions that it could make you feel about watching this guy fight for his life or whatever, like ReZero is. It's a show about a pretty fucking girl and a dude who doesn't think super highly of himself but is super talented. Just a bunch of tropes. But the thing that really makes this show different is Marin Kitagawa. I still remember her full name. Woo! We're down bad. Marin Kitagawa is a really, really engaging character. She is one of the most charismatic fucking characters that has ever been put on an anime screen. And I will fight over that. Like, she is so fucking charismatic. The only thing I really don't like about all of the show is, at first, Maureen is so clearly into this dude and likes flustering him, but then she'll accidentally get flustered by things that she usually, I mean, previously established, wouldn't really get flustered by. It wouldn't really be that big of a deal. But it's more like a slow burn until you get to the end of the season. And they are making a season 2, by the way.
And season 1 is on like a freaking cliffhanger.
It is a decent cliffhanger.
God.
She literally hangs up the phone and the show ends.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's such a... And the... Well, because you watched it all in one sitting.
Yeah.
And then you told me about it. And you were like, I'm so ashamed. I had to lock my door while I watched
Dude, there were times in the show where it's like... I would stand up watching it on my computer and just be like, I gotta lock the door for this one, man. This isn't kosher. But genuinely, despite like all the sexuality that it had and some of the risque situations, it was a very heartfelt show.
It's so sweet.
It had a nice, gooey, emotional core that anyone could resonate with. So the animation and the style for this show, I think, is a 9. It is phenomenal, and it is very... not the word painterly, but it is almost like frame for frame gorgeous per shot. I don't know, almost, yeah, okay. The story is very simple. There are a lot of people who don't like this show that I found out about because it is a very masculine femininity.
Like, it's a romance show made for men.
It's a romance show made for men, yes, but it also is like, I can't remember what the term that was used. I know like unrealistic standard was probably one of them, but there are certain things that the show did that didn't really make sense. And if it were written by a female, you would just never see that. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, I don't think that makes it a bad thing. I think... Well, especially because I think what's her name? How do you say it?
Marin Kitagawa.
Maureen. I think she's pretty secure in who she is as a person. So I think it's fine to like... I think it's fine that she shows so much of like her heart and her character.
I think she passes the Bechdel test.
Yeah. Like most of the anime is literally her just getting excited about the fact that this boy that she met can sew, and she has always wanted to cosplay, but she's never been good at it by herself. And so like I think that the connection that they form over that is really sweet. And I also just love her, and she's so she has her nails done throughout the whole show. Like, she's got blonde hair, pink ends, her eyes are really pretty. Like, I don't think that just because it was written by a man means it's a bad show.
And that wasn't their main criticism, but I do remember it being something like that. I'll have to rewatch that video and kind of get back to you, but the story is, I mean, it's a simple 7. It's above average. It's nothing groundbreaking, but the characters definitely do carry it. Soundtrack is going to get me another 5. I don't remember the soundtrack. Characters. So we already talked about Maureen. The main character is also, he's a little bit of a pushover, but in a way that makes sense. The thing that I think that they could have done better with him, and that annoys me to this day when I rewatch it, is they use the exact same clip of him being yelled at as a kid for liking something that's girly over and over and over again. And you're just like, okay, we understand that this is like your entire...
That's your childhood trauma. We get it.
Like, every point of his character in the show all comes down to this one moment. I feel like there could have been more there, but I do also recall his grandpa was a very endearing character.
I love his grandpa.
Yeah, like every character that actually had screen time was just incredibly charming, and I didn't mind any of them. So I would give their characters an 8. And the feeling after watching My Dress Up Darling, there's a little bit of degeneracy of like, ooh, there's a little bit of risque. There's definitely an aspect of wanting more, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but there's also a big aspect of bittersweet with how it ends. It ends very abruptly, but it was a built up to abrupt. Like, you knew it was coming, but you still can't believe that it ended the way that it did. But I firmly believe, and I could be proven wrong when season 2 comes out, that it's not going to be a circular show. We're going to get to one of those here in a minute that is just purely to keep you on your ass watching the show, and there's no progress ever fucking made in terms of a relationship. I don't think it's that. I think there was progress. There was a clear line for what it was following, and it was very charming. So I give it a 7 for the feeling. Tallying up My Dress Up Darling to 9 and 7 makes 16, plus 5 equals 21, plus 8 equals 29, plus 7 equals 36. I was about to say, that seems low. 36, which puts it just below your name, and I would say it is at the bottom of rewatchable. I really like My Dress Up Darling.
Because it's so bittersweet that you want to rewatch it for the sweet parts, but then you get hit with the bittersweet feeling, and then you're like, ugh.
Yeah, you want to get back to those feelings that it made you feel so good.
To myself?
Yeah, ReactBot, do you like you famously don't like romance animes. What did you think about My Dress Up Darling?
Not me, nose exhaling.
So he likes it, not me. He's trying to hide the fact that he secretly likes it, chat.
Right.
And, which is a very My Dress Up Darling thing to do, by the way. Okay, next up, The Eminence in Shadow. I watched this show recently because it's stupid. And chat, it is stupid. I watched a Scamboli review on it before I ever watched it, forgot about it, and discovered that the soundtrack is made by our fucking goat, Kenichiro Suhiro. Same person who made ReZero's soundtrack. And I was like, well, I gotta fucking watch it if this dude's on board. What's up, Brad? I'm doing well. I hope you do the same. The Eminence in Shadow is a isekai about a dude who wants to be like Batman but slightly more evil type shit. He wants to fight from the shadows and secretly rule the world, but also he has a very big heart for people who are in trouble and all that. But it sounds really stereotypical, but it's a parody most of the time. The show makes fun of itself so fucking hard, and it is hilarious. There are moments where when it gets more serious, I stop caring a little bit. But overall, I would say, starting with the animation for Eminence and Shadow, it's actually really good. It's quite good. I would give it an 8. The story is... you're not there for the story. It's dog shit. It's funny on purpose. Like, you're not there for the story. You're there for the laughs and to see what wacky shenanigans this dude gets himself into. It's one of those, like, classic overpowered protagonist tropes where you get to see all of these wacky little situations that he gets put in, and it just there for laughs. Oh, yeah. Brett, we have watched One Punch Man. We ranked it 4th highest so far. So, Eminence and Shadow's story, I would give a 7 out of 10. Like, it's nothing super out there crazy, and it is a little bit exposition heavy at times when it's trying to be more serious, but it is goofy. It's funny. It's gotten a few belly laughs out of me. The soundtrack. So, getting back to that, it was written by Kenichiro Suhiro, and the song that I specifically heard was called Deep Sorrow. It reused a leitmotif from one of ReZero's most infamous songs, and I was like, oh shit, that's awesome. And so I was excited to hear the rest of the soundtrack, and I'm here to report it's fine. Like, nothing super crazy. Kenichiro Suhiro, it seems, went really crazy on ReZero, and then just kind of did some of his B tracks for Eminence and Shadow. Didn't really stand out to me, although it does make heavy use of what's the classical song? Hold on. It's gonna come to me. It's not Nocturne. Hold on. Eminence in Shadow soundtrack. It is not Beethoven. I can't even remember the melody right now. It's actually crazy. Moonlight Sonata. So it makes heavy use of Moonlight Sonata, and it actually uses it really well. Hey, Brad, you did get it. Moonlight Sonata. Good job. I think it makes fantastic use of it. So I'd give the soundtrack another 7. It's above average, and it did have tracks that I memorized. The characters are goofy as fuck, but they make sense at the same time. Like, they're goofy as fuck, but there is a clear line that they're following. They're walking down this path that has been treaded before them. And I don't know where I'm going with this analogy. I'm going to play the harmonica. So, anyway, the characters are pretty good. I'm going to give them another 7. The feeling, after watching The Eminence and Shadow, I think we're 2 seasons deep, I believe. You know, like, I could honestly take or leave this show. It does not have an overarching plot that I'm coming back for. I don't really care about it. It does have characters that I think are really funny that I want to come back and see, and that's really what carries the show. The feeling is, I'll give it a 6. Tallying up our scores, we have 3 7s, which is 21, plus 8 equals 29, plus 6 equals 35. Putting us below Dress Up Darling and Assassination Classroom. What did I put Toradora as numerically? 31. So, yeah, it is one that I enjoyed more than Toradora. Just because I think it's funny. All right, next up. Speaking of funny, probably the funniest anime that I've ever watched, Konosuba. I have seen people... there was this one dude who said he does not like comedic anime, and he listed Konosuba as an example of one that isn't funny. And dude, if you don't laugh at some of Konosuba's jokes, or any of them at least once, you must be as stone-faced as the fucking Easter Island statues. I cannot believe you if you say that. because Konosuba, as someone who usually watches stuff like this, like I'm trying to deeply analyze it, Konosuba has made me belly laugh, like Dave Chappelle belly laugh levels of chortling. So I fucking love Konosuba. I think the animation for Konosuba is really charming. It's kind of got this pastel-y, painterly look, and whenever Megumin casts a spell, they put all the budget in that episode just straight towards that fucking After Effects.
Explosion.
Breadman, if you're in for a good laugh, just watch Konosuba. It's phenomenal.
It basically makes fun of ReZero.
Yeah, so Konosuba is, like, I wouldn't say it's ReZero Light because, oh no, he does kind of get revived a few times.
Definitely.
I would say it's ReZero Light.
Yeah.
Like, there's a harem, but they all kind of hate him at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
The whole show is just 4 characters fucking with each other, and it's so funny. It's fantastic. I would give the animation a 9, honestly. It's really good consistently. The story, you're not there for the story, again. But what story it does offer is surprisingly pretty followable. The main character trying to beat the Dragon Lord, but getting caught up in all these shenanigans, and then eventually getting dragged down but also lifted up by these 3 girls that he meets and joins in a party with. It's a 7. It's above average. The soundtrack for Konosuba is actually really good. I don't listen to it on repeat, but there are so many good tracks that stand out to me in my mind when I think of it. I'd give it another 7 there. The characters in this show are fucking phenomenal. They're not phenomenal in their complexity, but they are phenomenal with their consistency and stubbornness. Almost every character in this show is so stubborn, but it lends itself comedically to every aspect of the show so well. I'd give the characters an 8. And then finally, the feeling that you get when watching Konosuba is just pure joy. I don't feel like I could watch almost any episode of this anime frowning. Like, if I'm having a bad day, I could pop this on and I would feel a lot better. And for that, it gets a 9. So, plugging in the numbers, we get 2 7s equals 14, plus 8 equals 22, plus 2 9s, which is 18, bringing us to 40, I think? Yes. A very, like, a monster score. A monster score. What do we want? What do we put One Punch Man at? It's also at 40. So I would say, in terms of a show that has both made me laugh and also made me feel, it's going to go beneath One Punch Man. Because this show hasn't made me feel as much as it has made me laugh, but it has made me laugh more than One Punch Man. But One Punch Man still just makes me smile every time I think about it. Both of them do. On to this next one, Overlord. It is a 4-season show, way longer than I ever expected. And like Konosuba, I forgot to mention this, like Konosuba and ReZero, is produced by Katakawa, who, in my opinion, is the GOAT in terms of anime production companies. I mean, they have these 3 animes alone that are phenomenal, but they also have... Can you get us one? Thank you. They also have a new anime that I'm watching that I didn't even realize was produced by Katakawa, which we'll talk about here momentarily once we get to it. So, Overlord. Is this Overlord the video game or Overlord the live-action movie? Neither. It is Overlord the anime. I should have prepared like graphics on stream to show you guys Overlord. But Overlord is an anime. It's an isekai, an overpowered protagonist isekai at that, which most of the time I don't care for at all. I think it's silly. But much like the Eminence and Shadow, they play it for laughs. and they kind of focus a little more on the heartfelt stuff with the side characters. What I think Overlord does so much better, though, is it adds so much emphasis to the goal and takes itself a little more seriously. It's really endearing. I love Overlord. So starting off with the animation for Overlord is consistently some of the best I've seen. It is extremely detailed, extremely saturated with color, just popping off the screen almost at all times. It's a 9, easy. Oh boy. Chat, we have cookies. Ooh, I'll take this one.
Mm-hmm. She put the salt on top of it and everything.
You got to. The story of Overlord. For an overpowered protagonist isekai story, which are usually like pretty by the books, Overlord goes in some very interesting directions that fascinate me, and I have been left thinking about it all the time. Honestly, chat, I think the story is a 10. There are so many moments where you're like, oh, or ah. So many aha moments that this show pulls out from under you. But meanwhile, you realize it had been just dangling in front of your nose the whole time. The soundtrack for Overlord. I don't remember like specific tracks off the top of my head. I don't think I've ever listened to like specific ones on my own. But I do remember that it uses some leitmotifs. It uses some very strong melodies that are memorable. I'd give this one a 7. Characters. So every character in Overlord is extremely complex, but kind of like Soldier in TF2, there's a low skill floor, or a low entry floor, but a high skill ceiling. What I mean by this is it's not difficult to understand exactly what these characters are just by looking at them. But if you care to watch and dig in a little bit deeper, there are so many layers to every single one of these characters that doesn't contradict what they are at their core. The more I've watched the show, the more it has like had my jaw on the floor with making me like some characters that I didn't like naturally. I give the characters an 8. The feeling of Overlord. Excuse me, it's cookie time. The feeling of Overlord. It feels inevitable. You know where the story is going to end up, but the twists that they take along the way that, mind you, do feel natural, don't feel forced, are just so exciting. I'm always excited when I'm watching Overlord for the next thing, so I'm gonna give that an 8 as well. Tallying up Overlord, we have 2 8s making 16, a 9, or we'll do this, a 16 and a 10 making 26. There's a 7 in the mix there making 33, and a 9 bringing us to 42. A pretty like a very respectable score, up there with Metal Fight. I'm not going to put Overlord up at the greatest with these 3. I don't honestly think there might be 1 or maybe 2 that also reach this status, but I am going to put it at the very top of rewatchable, above One Punch Man. I really like Overlord, and I didn't think I would. My best friend, he was like half recommending it to me, but also half being like, I don't know if you'll like it, but I would give it a shot. I ended up really liking it. But one anime that I really loved, that I'm so sad that people have already stopped talking about, Dandadan.
Oh, that shit's so good.
Where did Dandadan go? ReactBot, do you like Dandadan?
I bet bro is vaccinated.
It is. It's vaccinated. It's red pilled. It's everything, man. Dandadan is one of the best anime that I think I've ever seen. And a month after the last episode of season 1 aired, people just stopped talking about it. I'm like, dude, we just witnessed history. So obviously, the animation and style of Dandadan are a 10 out of 10. The style, frame for frame, the way that they use the camera, moving with the characters, all these different things. Like, I specifically remember the episode in the school where they're like underwater and stuff, how they would use the camera to make these monsters just look absolutely fucking massive, and the lighting. I'm even gonna break the scale again and say it's an 11 out of 10. I think Dandadan is one of the coolest looking anime that I've ever watched. The story is so unbelievably simple, yet so endearing. And goofy at the same time. It somehow doesn't take itself seriously, but everyone else does. It's like that, like the comedian in class who's extremely funny, but what people don't realize is he's like, it's an extremely tragic person that they're talking to. I mean, I know by like, or what was it? To a Kinder World, I think was episode 7, where Ira first encounters the ghost. What are they called? The Silky Ghosts, and how we go into this whole backstory of how the Silky Ghost became one of those. It's so sad. Out of nowhere. Like the episode before, they're talking about, oh, she has one of my balls, and we're still thinking about that during that episode, but it takes you out of that for a second and be like, hey, some fucked up shit happens in this world too. And she's like, oh. The story is a 10 out of 10. It is so wacky, so over the top, and if you've not watched it, I don't want to spoil it for you, but Dandadan just does not give a shit about boundaries of what makes sense. It's a story about aliens and ghosts, and what if they were both real? That's your premise. The soundtrack for Dandadan, I would say, aside from the opening of the show, isn't crazy. Like, nothing super out there. There's some good heartfelt moments. There's some really good action moments. I did like how they used some classical music, but in like a dubstep almost version, or a hip hop version of classical music in a fight scene. That was really fun. But you know what? We'll give it an 8 for the soundtrack. The characters. Every single character in the show is A, charming, B, tragic in their own way, but not like overly Cry Me a River, and 3, incredibly well designed and are so fun to watch interact. That's another 10 for characters. And the feeling you get after watching Dandadan is like watching Dale Earnhardt race in NASCAR, or watching LeBron James, I would imagine, in basketball, or watching Mango play in Super Smash Brothers Melee. It's like, this is the greatest of all time. And it's not boring. It's not a boring goat. There's some boring goats where they just win and that's their whole thing, like John Cena or Superman. Sometimes Superman. But Dandadan is like one of the greatest animes that I've ever watched. It's not my personal favorite, but it's like undeniable. I would say it's a 9.
Did you talk about the one with the mom?
Yeah, To a Kinder World. Yeah.
Was not expecting that episode at all.
No.
Was expecting to laugh.
Came out of nowhere.
And then fucking
had us both in tears.
Like full body, basically sobbing.
Yeah. Dandadan, tallying it up. We did break the ranking system again. I'm so sorry. 2 10s making 20, an 11 making 31, 8 making 39, and a 9 making 40. 8. 48, I think, is the second highest score. Right? Oh, I didn't even give ReZero its proper flowers. There it is. Yeah. For me personally, what did I give Ippo? Okay, yeah. It's right behind Ippo. Right above Metal Fusion. Undeniably one of the best anime that I've ever watched. Not my personal favorite, but that's not me saying that I don't love it. That's me just saying there is a big, big place in my heart that it is not allowed to fill because that's where ReZero and Hajime no Ippo is. Reactbot, what'd you think about Dawn to Dawn?
Ask not for whom the bell tolls.
Oh my gosh.
It tolls for thee.
What does that mean?
Don't worry about it. I understood.
Oh, okay.
We're on the
That's all
same
that
page.
matters.
Yeah. So we gave Dawn to Dawn a 48. A monster score. And another one that is about to get a monster score, I am sure of it.
Yeah.
Frieren Beyond Journey's End. So Frieren is a show that Julia and I watched before it got really popular. We were early on the bandwagon. This is like her GOAT anime, I'm pretty sure, right? This is your GOAT? For good reason. It is an incredibly beautiful show in every single sense of the word. Again, not my personal favorite. I didn't get as much of a personal, connection to any of the characters as much as she did. But I am here to tell you that, the animation of Frieren is a fucking 10 out of 10.
When they get to the fighting scenes and she's fucking busting out all those fucking...
Not just the effects in the fighting scenes, but also the landscapes, the backgrounds, how they interact with the characters seamlessly. Magic, Elena. It is real magic. The story. I think the story is easily the most slept on part about this show. It is incredibly simple, and it's not really in your face like some other fantasy type shows are, but it is, and it's not even necessarily the thing that's pushing the characters forward most of the time, because right around the middle of the season, up until the end, it's just about living life. But the main overarching story is Frieren wants to relive and make new memories with humans with the time that she has with them, which is extremely limited, and her coming to this realization about herself that she barely got to understand
Her first party.
one of her first her first party that she ever joined. She barely got to understand one of the people in that party who ended up dying.
Oh, Himmel.
Yeah. Frieren and Himmel was our first group cosplay together. We went to Comic-Con Chattanooga dressed up as Himmel and Frieren. So I would say the story, since it's not in the forefront and it's not the most revolutionary thing in the world, I'd say it's a 9. The soundtrack for Frieren is very ambient. It is very subdued, but then in the action scenes, it kicks up. It serves its purpose, but I haven't personally listened to any of it on my own. I would give it a 7. The characters are a masterclass in how to write characters that just feel natural in a unnatural setting. I don't know how the fuck they do it as well as they do, but Stark, who in any other story would be this super badass axe swinging character who's a little bit hot-headed maybe, gets himself into trouble with that, and he does. But what they did with Stark that makes him so much more interesting is they make him a little bit whiny. They make him a little bit submissive, but not in a way that is consequentially bad to his character. he's a little bit of a people pleaser, and he wants to make people happy, and he cares about others around him. So he's got this big gooey center while also being able to fucking one-tap a dragon with his axe. He's a fantastic character.
He's just
as an
a
example.
little guy. He's literally just a little guy.
Yeah.
Who's really powerful. And then Fern. I love Fern.
Yeah.
And then the complexity of Friren's,
like, basically immortality that she has to deal with, and the fact that, like, human lives, which she realizes after her first party, starts kind of, wow, Jesus.
That was destructive.
Your headphones just attacked me.
They are heavy.
But she's really realizing how fragile, like, human life is. Once her original party starts basically dying out. Because in, like, the first, 2-3 episodes, 2 of her original party members die.
Yeah.
And she, like, after the second one dies is when she finally accepts the fact that she has to be in a party again, like, because Fern was practicing magic under the priest of their party.
Yeah. I mean, the characters,
so good.
almost every single one of them is a masterclass in how to write an intriguing character. So deserves nothing less than a 10 on that front. The feeling after Frieren, or during and after Frieren, for me personally, it is not as potent as what other people have had. Definitely including Julia on that one. And it's not something that feels in your face. It is a very subtle theme that makes you feel a certain type of way, and is very bittersweet. And for me though, it was an 8 out of 10, I would say. Not that I didn't enjoy it. It's still fantastic, but it does kind of feel like we were only starting to scratch the surface of the complexity that this show can have in its themes and genres and stuff. Yeah, there you go. From someone Julia took a picture with at the Comic-Con where she was dressed up as Frieren.
That was, like, right when we walked in, too. We were literally there for, like, 5 minutes, maybe.
Yeah. No, it was dope. I'm going to give it an 8 on that, so let's go ahead and tally up Frieren. 2 10s making 20, a 9 making 29, a 7 making 26, and an 8 making 34. Or no, that can't be right. A 44. A 44, another monster score. We're going to be putting that, let's see if I'm going by the rankings. I would say it also would be going into the greatest since it is numerically above Beyblade.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. All right. Here's one to chew on that isn't going to be in, like, the super upper categories. Rascal does not dream of Bunny Girl Senpai, or
No, he doesn't.
I just say Rascal. Reactbot, before we even get into it, I know you love romance shows. What did you think of Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai?
Hold up. I gotta pee.
All right.
Ew.
We'll wait.
Okay, I'm ready.
That was good.
Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai is a romance anime that, from the name alone, just sounds like one of the most degenerate pieces of shit shows, just slop ever. But it's not. It is actually a very psychologically different show from every other romance that I've ever watched. And something that I really like that this show does is that it gives you what you want earlier than you expect. The main character and the main girl, I mean, and I can say this for another one down the line too, they very clearly like each other and are not so, oh, he touched my hand about it, to not be like, hey, I like you. And they openly talk about sexual things, and it's so refreshing to see something like that after watching so many anime where they're just gonna play coy the whole fucking time in this push-pull of emotions. They're very open with that. The first 3 episodes of this show are some of the most gripping I have ever watched, especially from this genre of romance. After that, it kind of just goes and flatlines a little bit. It's not bad. I did finish it. I did enjoy it. But starting with the animation for Rascal, 7. It's above average. The story, after the first 3 episodes, if I were purely judging it on the first 3 episodes, it would be like an 8. After that, it does get dragged down a little bit, down to a 6. The soundtrack, I don't remember it. The characters, I actually like the characters. They had clear, followable arcs, and all of them did feel natural for the kind of unnatural setting that they were in. Linus, we are currently looking at Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. But I like main girl. I like the little, the shorter girl as well. I can't remember any of their names. Again, it's been over a year since I've watched it. That they're just gonna go.
Did you watch both seasons? Because I think
I
I
did.
watched the first season, and then I said I liked it, and then you said, don't watch the second season.
I did watch both seasons, and I remember the second season just being like almost slop. It was just hard to sit through. So the characters, I wouldn't say they carry the show as much as the interesting plot does and what they do with that. So I'm gonna give them a 6. The feeling after watching Bunny Girl Senpai, after the first 3 episodes, you're so hooked. You're like, how the hell does this show go from here? And then after the first 3 episodes and you start to realize that it's going to be a little bit more formulaic from now on and serialized, you're like, oh man, it's a little bit disappointing. I give that a 4. Bringing Rascal to... let's see, that's 12 plus 4 equals 16 plus 5 equals 21 plus 7 equals 28. Another one of the lower scores that I've given today, which, where did I put Shogun Steel? I put it at 27, so it goes firmly at the top of meh. It was so close to being enjoyable, chat, but it just missed a few marks from being there for me. So it looks like enjoyable. Okay, so Grody. What did I put Danganronpa at? Danganronpa is a 29. Wait, how is it a 29, but I put it in Grody? But I put Rascal at 28. I wouldn't say... Hold on. Wait, Danganronpa... I gave a better score than I gave it credit for. Hold on. Anyway, I'm gonna stick with it. So generally speaking, this is kind of like the 25 and below range. This is kind of the 26 to 29 range. This is the early 30s to mid 30s range. This is getting into the late 30s to 40s. And the best score that I can give, which is a 50, is gonna be at the very top here with the 49s and the 47s coming in very close there. So, finishing up Rascal, we're moving on to another one that I would consider slop. No longer allowed in Another World. I think you might be surprised to know that I did actually go back and finish this show after we watched the first episode. This is the cat girl one, yeah.
Okay, where he like can't die.
He
just won't
he
die.
can die, but the plot he has so much plot armor that he just can't die. So this story is about a dude. It's a newer isekai, who tried to commit suicide with his wife.
Oh yeah.
And then he gets summoned to another world before he fully gets to do that. And so he keeps trying to kill himself, but the plot just finds funny ways for him to not be able to do that. And then he gets this kind of harem around him who call him senpai or master or whatever. It is pretty formulaic. But they do have a good twist. There is a good twist towards the end of the first season that I did not mind. Let's go into depth here. Animation-wise, it is smack dab average. It is a 5. For story, it is, I would say, smack dab average at a 5 as well. I don't think the plot twist can carry it as much. The soundtrack, I was surprised to find out, is written by Kenichiro Suhiro, the same guy who made ReZero's soundtrack. So, if ReZero is Kenichiro locked in, and Eminence and Shadow is his B tracks, Kenichiro Suhiro straight up was sleeping while making the soundtrack for this show. It is not his best work. It is very average as well, I would say. A 5. The characters, surprisingly, they get a little bit more in depth as you watch the show, and it does feel natural, but it also feels a little bit forced, like we're just having to watch this. I would give it a 6 still. The feeling after watching No Longer Allowed in Another World, I'm going to be honest, I was playing TF2 while having this show on in the background. I could not fully focus on it. It was difficult. But again, it had a twist at the end, and it did have one character that is extremely intriguing to me that they have not done shit with yet. So there's much to be desired. I have a feeling it could be not a great show, but it could be a good one. It could be an inoffensive watch. I'm actually hopeful for it, so I'm gonna give it a 6. Sorry. Such a bad show, I can't even watch it. That's a big tell. I mean, it's not a terrible show, but it is like extremely average. If it was a really bad show, I would either not watch it at all, or I would kind of hate watch it but be laughing at it the whole time. This show is just sometimes boringly average, which is kind of an unfortunate consequence of the oversaturated market of anime that we have today. So 3 5s makes a 15, and 2 6s make a 12, adding up to 27. Not a fantastic score, but I do feel better about this show than I do. Nah, I'll put it, it's firmly at the bottom of meh. It is the definition of meh. All right, moving on. I have teased this one for a minute now. Let's talk about Rent-A-Girlfriend. So, I need to talk about Rent-A-Girlfriend, and I need to rant about it before we get on to the official ranking. So you might have heard me earlier talk about how some shows, especially in the romance genre, just go in circles and you never make any progress. This show, if you look up that concept, is the fucking dictionary. Like, they would just be a picture of this show in the dictionary. It is nothing. This show is nothing. And it sucks because the characters look fantastic. They have such fun little personalities. The main character is a doofus who you could laugh at, like in Konosuba. But the problem is, the show takes itself seriously. Why? You know it. I know it. They know it. That this show is meant to be just some sexual, funny haha anime slop. Why are you trying to make me care about her goddamn grandmother? I don't care. I don't fucking care.
He's only here for boobs and S.
I'm here for boobs and laughs. So, if you expect me to care, don't, first of all. But if you're gonna do that, and you're gonna try and build a character and have him do all of these things to please this girl, and at the end of the show, we start right back where we started? After 2 seasons? Fuck you, man. Straight up, fuck you. Straight up. Okay, starting with the animation of Rent-A-Girlfriend. It's 6. It's above average, enjoyable. Going with the story, fuck this story, it's a 3. There is no story. It is a concept. This show is a concept that it's like a Rube Goldberg machine but if a Rube Goldberg machine could reset and make a domino fall into itself to make it restart every single fucking time. It drives me nuts. It's a okay. Scientists forever have been looking for a way to find perpetual unlimited energy. Guys, I found it. Just watch this show. Just watch this show and watch how it goes into a big circle the entire time and make no progress at all. Just stay stagnantly at this fucking slop. It's infinite energy.
Stagnant.
The soundtrack, I don't remember it. It's a 5. The characters. I really like the characters. The designs are so fucking good, chat. Let me show you. I don't remember any of their names. I remember Ruka, because she's kind of the rem of the show. Dude.
I can't see it.
Let me move. So, look how fucking adorable. Oh, wait, it's cutting off. No. These characters are extremely well designed. Besides the main character, he's just, you know, your guy. But, I mean, all of the outfits, they are very, particularly good. Like, Mami, Ruka, I remember those two. I don't remember main bitch's name, so it's pretty much that. But the character designs does not save you from the story where they do nothing. So the characters get a 6. I'll give them a 7 just for designs alone, and yeah. The feeling after watching the show is a fucking 1. I was put into such a bad show hole after watching this that what did I watch after this? I think I watched yeah, we went on like a kind of bender. I watched Alya Sometimes Dreams in Russian, and then I watched Mushoku Tensei, which had its own shit that it put me into, but we'll get to that later, I promise. Rent a Girlfriend, I would say the feeling that it gives you after watching it is a 2. There are enjoyable parts about it, but truly, you feel so stuck watching this dumbass main character trying to navigate the world, and then the plot inexplicably just Sisyphus boulder rolling back on top of him and making him go push it from the bottom. If you want to watch the Persona 5 anime. I haven't even played the game. I have full intentions to play the Persona 5 game though. Rent a Girlfriend. Let's tally up the points. So we have a 6 and a 3 making a 9, a 5 making a 14, a 7 making a 21, and a 2 making a 23, making it the new lowest rated anime on this entire list, putting it firmly below Danganronpa's anime at the bottom of Grody. Fuck that show. Speaking of, Alya Sometimes Hides Her Feelings in Russian. We'll kind of go quicker on this one.
It's weird.
It is weird. Truly. ReactBot, what did you think about Rent a Girlfriend?
Perfect. No notes.
No, you did not just fucking say that. I know you did not just fucking say that. Oh my gosh. All right. This dude is unreliable at best. So, Alya Sometimes Hides Her Feelings in Russian is a 2024 anime that was released and had a lot of potential to be one of the cutest fucking anime that has ever graced the screen. I mean, the character designs are phenomenal. The art is really good. We'll go ahead and say that. The animation and the style on Alya Sometimes Hides Her Feelings, I would say, is a 7. It is your kind of stereotypical backdrop, so that does hold it back a lot. I'm already pretty tired of seeing that, and I've only been in the scene for like 2 years. But dude, the character designs are really endearing. I like it. The story, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
So, if you want to experience the ideal image of this show, watch episode 1 and nothing else. If you want to watch what the show actually is, don't watch episode 1, skip to number 2 and watch the rest of it, and you will just be left like... Because here's what they set up, right? There is a boy who a long time ago, had a crush on this girl who could only speak Russian. He didn't understand what he said, but they would hang out and they would experience these little like life things together, watching a sunset or whatever. And it was like that piece of nostalgia that you hold in the back of your brain, like the girl that you saw one time pass by you and you just never stopped thinking about, except this dude actually had a little bit of a relationship with her. Flashback or flash forward years later, he's learned Russian and finds out that there is a transfer student in his class who knows Russian, who is Russian and has a secret crush on him. And she will speak in Russian to kind of say things about him.
Hide her feelings.
To hide her feelings in Russian, but she doesn't know that he can actually understand her. By the title, Alia sometimes hides her feelings in Russian, you would think that it would be like, oh, it's about this concept of the boy actually eventually confessing that he knows Russian, and it would be very one note. But in an attempt to not make it one note and to add depth, they make his sister want to fuck him. They give a school, like a, what's it called? A council drama. They give it a fucking conspiracy within the boy's family about who
he's allowed to talk to.
who he's allowed to talk to, how, the grades that he's allowed to get.
I think
If his sister is allowed to interact with him. They added so many things that just are so roundabout unnecessary to this show. And the more that Julie and I were watching it, we were just like,
what the fuck?
what the fuck, dude?
I think we got to the episode where he gets like cornered by his grandfather or something, and his grandfather's like, his grandfather's like, I heard you've been talking to your sister, stop doing that, you're not allowed to talk to your sister. But like his sister's the one who's just like in his apartment, like he doesn't live with his family. He lives by himself in his own apartment as a high school student, and his sister like sometimes just randomly appears and acts like way too touchy with them, and
So
it's
legit,
like
there's a
it's
scene,
so weird.
one of the first scenes Yuki is introduced in, the main character's waking up and she is on top, like mounted on top of him, and in English says, "Hello, my brother."
It's so weird.
It's kind of funny because it's English, but at the same time, you're waking up to your sister mounted on top of you, and she's like, "What do you think it's like waking up with your sister on top of you?" And he goes, "Go to hell." I'm pretty sure he says.
Yeah, he's not okay.
He is
with
not
it at
into
all.
it, but they added that purely for fan service, I'm sure. And Yuki's actually, ironically, despite that scene, one of the characters that carries the anime because of how fucking unhinged
She's
and
so
funny she
crazy.
is.
Well, because she realizes that her brother has feelings for what's her name?
Alia.
Alia.
Mm-hmm.
She realizes that, gets pissed, and like starts a conspiracy to like not get rid of Alia, but like
To make her like inferior
Yeah.
or something like that, and to make her fail to be the school president, council, or class president, whatever. So the story gets a 4. The characters, I actually dig the characters, but the circumstances that they're put in absolutely are not conducive to an anime like this that is in any way enjoyable. Yuki is really fun. Alia is adorable. They actually reintroduce the other original Russian chick and tease it to be Alia's older sister. And you can see it like in her eyes. There's a lot of complexity there. The main character is the main character.
But then they forget about the fact that the original Russian chick that he had a crush on was Alia's sister, because then they start like trying to involve his grandfather in it.
They
and then
do
you're just
so
like, what
many
the hell is happening?
familial dramas that are just so out of place in this show. So yeah, the characters, I would say, carry this show, but are out of place in their own show. So I'm gonna give them a 6. The feeling after watching Alia sometimes hides her feeling. Or wait, no, I missed the soundtrack. I don't remember it. It's a 5. The feeling after watching Alia sometimes hides her feelings in Russian is, why?
Why did I spend my time watching that?
Why? Like midway through the show, Julie was like, "What the fuck are we watching?" And I was just like, I still had faith in it. I was like, let's just give it some time. see where it's going with this. It's kind of interesting. But then season 1 just ends, and I was like, okay, yeah, so it's bad. It's bad.
Did we even get to a beach episode? I think there was a beach episode.
I think there was.
Wait, did you put Horimiya on here?
Yes.
Okay.
So Alia sometimes hides her feelings in Russian. Let's tally up the numbers. We've got a 7, a 4, which makes 11, 5 makes 16, 6 makes 21, 3 makes 24. Putting it just above Rent-A-Girlfriend, which I think is fair because it's not circular slop. It at least tried something interesting, but it just really fell flat for me. All right, next. Cowboy Bebop.
So good. We never finished it.
That's what I was going to get to.
Sorry.
Cowboy Bebop, as much as I have liked it, is an older anime, and older anime tend to like their filler episodes, and I fucking hate filler episodes for the sake of filler episodes. I have not gotten through the entire show yet. I have not finished Cowboy Bebop, so no matter what ranking we get it is still going to go in the unfinished category with The Promised Neverland. So, that being said, the animation and the style for Cowboy Bebop is a 9. It is so good. Like, for the time, I would even say it's revolutionary. The things that they go for, it's extremely cinematic. The characters are extremely stylized and animated. The story of Cowboy Bebop, I think, for me personally, it's a 7. I don't know what the fuck is happening yet because there's been so much filler that has just been like clogging the sink that I haven't quite gotten to it yet. So for me, and for what I understand about the story, what has been shown, it's a 7. The soundtrack, a 10 out of 10. One of the best soundtracks to any piece of animated media out there. I mean, everyone knows Tank and Rush, but even some of their less known songs where they'll use like a choir, like Greenbird, I think is one of them, or what's the... I don't feel rain. I don't feel a thing, and I stop remembering. They go for this kind of like churchy, bluesy soul song. It's phenomenal. Obviously, the characters, I like every single character. I think they get a 9. The feeling when I'm watching Cowboy Bebop, it's so wild. It's so out there. But everything feels like it makes sense and fits conducively into a story that is, that's just an easy watch. I have not finished it because some of the filler episodes make me feel like I'm wasting my time. But when it's good, it's fucking phenomenal. So
When it's good, it's good.
when it's good, it's good. Give it a 7. All right, tallying up Cowboy Bebop. Although we already know where it's going, we've got 2 9s making an 18, a 10 making a 28, and 2 7s making a 14, putting us at 30 or 42. Is that right? Hold on. 18 plus 14 equals 22. 32. A little bit held back by some of its filler episodes. 32 for Cowboy Bebop, but it is going in the have not finished section. Another one that I will be straight up with you is going in the unfinished section is Horimiya. ReactBot. Can you, in a few words or less, describe my feelings about Horimiya accurately? Let's see how well we're connected right now.
Proverbs chapter 21 verse 19. It is better to live in a desert land than with a quarrelsome and fretful woman.
What?
I'm trying to like find a way to relate this consequentially to what Horimiya is, and honestly, I can't. That just makes no sense. Mm-hmm. ReactBot, you get one more chance, and then I'm sending you to hell. Horimiya, which I have not finished, is one of those anime that I discovered through its soundtrack. I really liked one of the songs. It had a lot of heart to it, very emotionally gripping. And I was like, okay, this might be a really good anime for that. Is it?
I don't even remember the anime. I'm gonna be so for real.
I don't remember what the fuck happens. So then, like, the details of the show completely elude me. The vague plot is still kind of in my head. So the animation, I'd say, is just above average. It's a 6. It's very painterly, pastel. It's kind of nice. The story is about a dude. No, it's actually about more about a girl than anything having a crush on a dude who other people really like, but also
Was she, like,
he's kind of
popular?
controversial. He is she is popular, and he's kind of like a quiet, nerdy kid who's also outside of school dresses like a badass. And that was the whole draw at point is like he dresses like with a whole bunch of jewelry and like the black and white emo striped shirts and lets his hair down and has earrings, piercings, all this shit. And in school, he's just super subdued with his little glasses and pulled back hair. That was the whole draw, and it's like a sexuality thing. And one thing I will commend this show for better or for worse, they hook up in the first season. They bang in the first season.
Oh my god, yeah, they do.
People forget about that because they completely gloss over it. They completely gloss over it, and it's only like the only way that you know is a look that they give each other after being in the same bed together. They do hook up in the first season, and then after that, I don't remember shit that happens in the show.
There was a beach episode.
There probably was a beach episode.
That's all I think I remember.
Horimiya, at the end of season 1, I was like, okay, this is good. I hope they can like really start to be more levels added in season 2.
Boyfriend, girlfriend?
I watched the first few episodes of season 2, and I was like, this is the biggest waste of my time ever. So I have not finished Horimiya. The story is average. It's a 5. The soundtrack, that one piece is the only thing that puts it at a 6 for me. It has a decent soundtrack. The characters. Okay, so they are actually endearing characters when they are given something to do. But most of the show, it feels like they're doing nothing.
There's more. What do you mean, Alina? What do you mean there's more?
What's up, Darkheart? You don't like my background lights? Damn, dude. Oh, are you saying there's more than a beach episode? I can't. I don't think I can bring myself to do it.
I probably could just because I got nothing else to do.
I can't do it.
There's more, and I don't want to spoil it.
The feeling of watching Horimiya. Actually, I'm gonna give the characters an 8. I think it's a little unfair because I do like the characters. Most of them were pretty endearing to me. The feeling of watching Horimiya for me is just disappointment. I thought that it really could have gone in a better direction, but it also isn't shocking. It very much went down the direction I thought it was going to when I first started it, of just being boring. So it's a 5. So let's tally up Horimiya. 2 6s make a 12. 2 5s make a 10. So that's 22 plus 8 equals 30, which is a more respectable score than I thought. Which means it is going to go at the bottom of meh, along with where's no longer allowed. Actually, it goes above no longer allowed. Or no, I haven't finished it. Never mind. Imagine if your room actually looked like that normally. Do you guys actually want to see what my room looks like normally? You're going to be, I mean, this is what you wanted. Okay. Isn't that way worse? Isn't that just
so boring?
It's so boring.
I don't know how to turn this light off. Is it down here?
No, don't do it. I need the key lights on. This is so much more boring. There's not color. I mean, call me Jim Carrey.
What?
But I need color.
Oh, no, not yet.
There you go. Okay, moving on. We did Horimiya. We did Cowboy Bebop. Next up, A Silent Voice.
Oh,
React Bot. What did you think about A Silent Voice, which many people regard as a masterpiece of anime?
Where were they on January 6th?
Oh. Probably watching this movie, I would say, hopefully, instead of doing that. A Silent Voice is an extremely potent story about this boy who grew up bullying a deaf girl. And not long after that, lost a lot of his friends who kind of turned on him, made him feel like the way that he made her feel. And then it's this kind of enemies to lovers arc. And by the end of the movie, they heavily lean on each other. It's a very beautiful story about redemption, and the theme of not hating something because you don't understand them. It's phenomenal. The animation in A Silent Voice, I would give a 10. Again, since it's a movie, there isn't as many chances for it to be bad, but I remember sometimes you just have to think, do I remember specific frames from this anime? And I remember many from that one. The one with the X's all over the faces of the people in the hallway.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
The one of the deaf girl standing on the balcony with fireworks going down when she's about to jump. The one of him in the, or the little book in the puddle. Like,
That was her book.
the fountain, yeah.
He threw into the water.
That he threw in. Yeah, there's so many moments that I think of when I think of that movie. So definitely an animation 10. The story I would give a 7. I'm not going to like give it perfect marks. I'm going to give it really good marks, but I'm not going to give it perfect marks. I do think it was also pretty formulaic, and I could see it coming from a mile away. It's one of those cases where the characters really carried the story. The soundtrack, I don't remember it. It gets a 5. The characters, like I said, are really, really well-written characters. The deaf girl and the main character, but also I remember liking the side characters who at first I thought would be really annoying, but like the little fat kid, do you remember him?
No, I don't remember the side characters.
Hold on. Let me see if I can find this character. This one.
Oh yeah, he kind of reminds me of
The
the
little-
grape guy. From
The little
My
chubby
Hero.
guy with the green puffy hair was adorable.
Oh,
He was so
yeah.
sweet. I'm just remembering.
I loved her.
Yeah, I'm just remembering
I loved her. She
the
was so
chick
good.
with the black hair who
Yeah.
had like the.
She was a bitch at first.
She was a bitch.
And then you kind of like, sorry, I hit the mic.
Well, it was the old friend group of the people who
Right.
used to make fun of the deaf girl, so
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Yeah, and then they
Um,
all kind of like realized that they had been horrible, and so they were kind of like making it up to her a little bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna give the characters an 8 out of 10 because the main character and the deaf girl were really well done. I do think, besides the little grape-headed kid, I think some of their arcs were a little bit rushed because it was a movie. Lastly, the feeling of watching A Silent Voice was one of a little bit of I mean, it was definitely bittersweet, but there was also a little bit of disparity with it, like really hoping that a dark story like this didn't end the way that it ends for so many other people in real life, unfortunately. So it was gripping. It was extremely gripping, and I would give that a 9. Tallying up the scores for A Silent Voice, we have 10 and 7 making 17, 5 making 22, 8 making 30, and 9 making 39. A very, very good score. Let's see. What did I put Overlord at? Overlord I put at 42, so let's see. What did I put Dress Up Darling at? At 36. So, My Hero, I'm trying to base this as numerically as I can. 38. So it's going to go above My Hero. Does it go above Konosuba? It does not. So 39. It rests comfortably between My Hero Academia and Konosuba for me. Moving on to two that I don't really have a strong opinion on, but the rest of the world does.
Oh, I love these movies.
Let me write these down.
Both of these?
You made me watch Spirited Away, but you did not make me watch My Neighbor. I watched that one on my own.
You did?
Yeah. So, Spirited Away. Spirited Away. It's a Studio Ghibli movie. Goes without saying that the animation... Sorry. Studio Giblet movie. It goes without saying the animation is a 10. The story is whack, which is also going to be consistent. I didn't quite understand... Like, it makes sense. And it uses a lot of these kind of... I mean, something that's very common with Studio Ghibli is... It uses these kind of archetypes, but applies them to very fantastical and folktale-y type of situations.
Because they're all based on Japanese folk tales.
They're based on... See?
So,
there you go.
So Spirited Away is all about, like, the spirits in this almost, like, what is it called when you're, like, in between?
Limbo?
Yeah, they're like basically in limbo, but then they're also like in Japanese folklore there's a bunch of spirits that like take over things.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's No Face, who's like kind of a greedy spirit who like goes into the bathhouse and is like kind of creepy, but everybody loves No Face because he's a little troublemaker. And the part that always scared me the most was when she first crosses into the spirit realm with her parents, and then she loses her parents for a second, and then she comes back to her parents,
pigs.
and then they're pigs. And I'm like, that's terrifying.
That would be spooky as a kid,
Yeah.
for sure.
But it didn't make sense until I watched it subbed. Because I'd always watched it dubbed. And it, like, never fully made any sense to me until I watched it dubbed. And I think we watched... Sorry, subbed. I think we watched it subbed, didn't we?
It's very possible. I don't remember. But I give this story a 7. It didn't really connect with me as much. Like, it was very kind of... I don't know if anecdotal is the right word, but there was a lot of things just kind of happening until all the pieces came together and it started to feel like a story. The soundtrack, I remember it being very good. I don't have anything on playlist myself, so I'd give it another 7. Firmly above average. The characters. I liked the main character. I liked the dragon boy. I liked... No Face is easily likable. I liked the grandma lady thing. The characters, for as out there as they are, they make sense. I would give that an 8.
I think you would really like Howl's Moving Castle.
Perhaps. The feeling of watching Spirited Away is like watching the Never-Ending Story. That's the kind of vibe that it gave me. I've not watched that movie in a long, long time, but the Never-Ending Story has this kind of wonder about it that Studio Ghibli captures very, very well. I would give the feeling another 7. Okay, let's tally up these points. So I've got 3 7s making 21, an 8 making 29, and a 10 making 39. Putting it right up there with A Silent Voice. I would personally put it below A Silent Voice because A Silent Voice connected with me more than Spirited Away. Yeah, and I think rewatchability wise, it is more rewatchable than My Hero or Your Name or even Dress Up Darling, I would say, just because the less commitment of it being a movie. Okay. My Neighbor Totoro, which I watched a long time ago. I hardly remember anything about it. it is kind of fuzzy in my mind.
There's
So
a cat bus.
I remember the cat bus.
That's a pretty cool part.
It kind of felt like Alice in Wonderland type vibes.
Well, because Totoro is a forest spirit, and he like protects the forest.
Okay.
And it's really when my friend Bear, she really liked the movie, but she could only ever watch it like once because when she watched it, it gave her like a moral crisis of like, oh, the earth is dying and there's nothing that I can do about it. And I was like, oh, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Animation. I actually give this one a 9 since it's a little bit older. It does feel a bit more dated, but it does have many iconic visuals that I can think of off the dome. The story I'd give a 6. I don't remember it. I don't remember it making sense, but I remember it being like whimsical. The soundtrack I don't remember straight up, so I give it a 5. The characters, I did really like the characters, the little girls and stuff like that. I give that an 8. And the feeling is whimsical. I really liked it as well, giving that the same as Spirited Away with a 7. So, tallying it up, I've got a 9 and a 6 making a 15, a 5 making a 20, an 8 making a 28, and a 7 making a 35. A respectable score for a movie that I don't really remember, which I think puts it at enjoyable. What did I put Assassination Classroom at? 37? Yeah. What did I put Eminence at? 35? Okay, I'll put it below Eminence just because I like Eminence a little bit better. Next up, Mushoku Tensei. So I have gone into great detail on stream before as to how I feel about this show. I will quickly summarize it here. I love this show. I love almost everything about it. But there is one decision that I won't spoil because it is worth experiencing on your own. There is one experience towards the end of the show that leaves me absolutely baffled. It truly feels like the show is trying to gaslight you into thinking that something is okay, and it feels so wrong. But up until that point, and the only reason that I care that much about that decision is because the rest of the show was so fucking good. Every single part of it was so absolutely endearing, charming, adventurous. Like it is a big inspiration for the story that I'm writing. Mushoku Tensei I gave a 9 out of 10, only held back by that original thing. So let's go a bit more in depth. Animation and style is a 10. Mushoku Tensei is one of those shows where it has so many different scenes, so many backdrops. It's long, but somehow throughout all of that, it is still incredibly artistic. I love it. The story of Mushoku Tensei is one about redeeming yourself, overcoming your demons, and just trying to find your way in an unfamiliar world, getting the chance to restart. I do think that the protagonist in Mushoku Tensei, since he's obviously the most controversial part, like ReZero's protagonist is, I do think that he is the most realistic character to ever be put in an isekai, for better or for worse. But he is the most realistic. So, the story, I'd say, is a 9 out of 10. Only held back by a few strange decisions. The soundtrack, I don't remember saving anything from the soundtrack, but I do remember it fitting each scene extremely well. I would give a 7. Characters, each character is very well done. I would say, aside from the part at the very end of the show where they make a baffling decision that will lead to inevitably what the rest of the show becomes, which I'm not looking forward to, every single character is written in a way that makes perfect sense. When they interact with each other, it makes perfect sense. yet still somehow surprises you at places. I give the characters a 9. And the feeling during watching during Mushoku Tensei is one of absolute wonder and engagement. And after season 2 is pure fucking rage. I'm still mad about it, man. And the fact that it can get me this mad about it shows how good it actually is, because it intrigued me and brought me into this world and captured me for so long. But I hate this feeling, man. I hate what it did to me. I gotta give it a 7. Bring it down to a 7 for that. Plugging in the numbers, I've got 2 9s making an 18, 2 7s making a 14, which puts us at is that 32? And then a 10 making us firmly at 42, which I think is a very good score for a show such as this. So it's not going to go in the greatest, but where did I put Overlord? Also out of 42, I would put it right up there with Overlord, in between One Punch Man. Moving on to I think one of my most recent animes that I've watched, other than Golden Kamuy, Serial Experiments Lane. This show is weird. If you couldn't tell by the little icon that I have for it here, the little poster, it is dark. It is mysterious. And it makes 0 sense without watching a video analysis on it afterwards. Straight up, you will not understand this show on the first watch. I think I happen to be a person who thinks that is okay if you give more on the second watch. But truly, I think if I were to watch it a second time, I wouldn't understand it more. There's just so many things that it hides in nooks and crannies. So Serial Experiments Lane, the animation, it is an older show. It was released in 2001? 2003, somewhere in there. You know, oh my gosh, I forgot to put Darling in the Franxx on here. Hold on, let me add this really quick while I talk about this. So, you know, it's pretty good. Like, Serial Experiments Lane, if I'm looking at the animation for a show, I think it was actually, hold on, I gotta look this up now. It might have been 1998, that sounds right. Serial Experiments Lane. When did this show come out?
Oh, this is the one that Duvet is in, isn't it?
Yep, 1999. So, I don't think you're really there for the animation of Serial Experiments Lane. It is out there. It does some very artistic things, and is very based in kind of mood atmospheres that maybe don't make sense on paper, but when you put it to animation, all of the scenes express a specific emotion, and usually that emotion is dread or discomfort, and it does that very well. So I'm gonna give it a 7. Not because it's pretty, but because it does its job extremely well. The story of Serial Experiments Lane is all over the place. And I truly do mean it is all over the place. I don't think I was following it after episode 1, not even a little bit. But I'm not about to say that it's a bad thing. It just really needs more explanation. I'm gonna give that a 7 as well. The soundtrack. There is barely a soundtrack to the show. If you were to listen to the entire soundtrack of the show, I'm positive it would be maybe 15 minutes long, because the show relies very heavily on silence and mood noise, just kind of electric, mechanical noises that fills it its whole time. Yet, for its intro, it has one of the best indie rock songs that I've ever heard, called Duvet by Boa. If you've ever heard that song, this show has it as its intro. And strangely, it fits very well. So the soundtrack for the show, for what little it has, an 8. The characters are if I were to describe them in a word, it would be a lie. They're a lie. The characters, aside from one of them, are all a lie. Because you kind of quickly find out, and this isn't really a spoiler, the whole show is like a setup. The whole show is like there to service this one person. And it's like, but then there's moments with like her dad where you get this very kind of complex relationship where it's like, it's not her daughter, it's not his daughter, but he still has feelings, and loves her and stuff. I'll give it a 6. Because they are complex, but they leave so much to the imagination that sometimes my imagination just wanders and I don't know where I am anymore. Finally, the feeling of watching Serial Experiments Lane is conducive to going to the dentist. It's a little bit unpleasant, but after you're done, you do still feel like you got something out of it, even if you don't fully understand what the hell happened. Or like a surgery or something. I don't know. I'd give it another 7. A 7 on that. Because its mood is extremely potent, and it knows exactly what it's doing, and it keeps you there for a long time. I was extremely fascinated by the show, even though I had no idea what was going on, and that's a good feeling. So, plugging in the numbers, I have 3 7s, making it 21, an 8, making it 29, and a 6, making it 35. What else do I have in that range that I can put? Eminence and Shadow is also 35. I'm going to put it below that. Next up, the most recent anime that I've watched, ReactBot, could you give us an opinion on The Golden Kamuy?
No flesh shall be spared. Matthew, chapter 24,
Why?
verse 22.
Why does he keep quoting the Bible?
Stop quoting the Bible. The Golden Kamuy has some spunk. I really, really like this show. Oh yeah, let me add this really quick. There we go. Full Metal Alchemist, Darling in the Franxx. ReactBot is unhinged. So the Golden Kamuy, I've unfortunately not finished it, but just like the other ones, I will still tally up my points here. Animation and style-wise, I think it is really good. The style of it, specifically when we get more into the characters, I'll talk about this, is extremely distinct. I was just telling Julia when I had her watch the first episode is, you know the anime thing where if you take off the hair of a bunch of anime characters and you put them side by side, you can't tell them apart? This show does not suffer from that problem. Every single character is extremely distinct. And so are a lot of the sets and atmospheres. Like it paints itself in a very interesting world. So animation and style, I'm gonna give a 7 because there are some animation things that I just question. It is made by Kadokawa, and Kadokawa do tend to make use of CGI, for better or for worse. In the first episode, there's a CGI bear, and it looks like dog shit, but in every episode after that, it looks just fine. So, circumstantially. The story is really gripping. Really, really gripping. It's kind of this push and pull between a hunter anime mixed with cooking elements and a kind of conspiracy mystery anime. And it balances those genres extremely extremely well, I would say. So I would give the story an 8. The soundtrack, made by the fucking goat himself, Kenichiro Suhiro, who woke back up after completing, what was it? The Eminence and Shadow, and was like, oh shit, I've got music to make, and he made some fucking banger music for this this show, dude. Specifically, the main theme is extremely good. We played it on stream just the other day. It was the it's kind of like a pirate vibe to it and a gold rush, but it's like set in pioneer days. I love the soundtrack. I'm gonna give it an 8. The characters are really, really, really well done. There is not a damn character in the show that does not get more development that you don't end up liking at least a little bit more than when they first appeared, and that is a feat. I'm gonna give it a 9 for characters. The feeling of watching Golden Kamuy, it's not predictable. But it's also not like so all over the place to where it feels like it's pulling the rug out from under you for the sake of an oh shit moment. It's a very rewarding show to watch, that I'd say perfectly straddles the lines between its themes and delivers just fun. A fun show that at times gets extremely dark and twisted. I'm gonna give it an 8 on that as well. Doing up our numbers here, 3 8s, which is 24. A 7, putting that up to 31, and a 9, making it 40. Which is very, very good, but unfortunately it is going in the have not finished pile because I only finished the first 2 seasons. There are 4 at the moment. Now, we are on to the last 3 anime of the stream chat, and all of these are going to be controversial. So, starting with possibly my most controversial take, Evangelion.
Oh shit.
I watched Evangelion, and I am going to say that watching the original show qualifies me to actually give it a ranking. Watching the original show and the end of Evangelion movie. I have not watched the subsequent movies because, depending on who you ask in the fandom, they tell you not to. So I'm going to count this. Evangelion fucking sucks. I don't care what anyone is about to tell me. If you agree, cool. If you don't, cool. I just don't care, dude. Because Evangelion, a show that has a philosophy that is extremely intriguing, is executed in such a poor way that I could, like, the only thing I could do was laugh at it. Let me be totally honest. I watched the original Evangelion, which you cannot find anymore on sale. They remade it on Netflix, and that's the one that most people watch nowadays, but my friend, who is a big anime nerd and a huge Evangelion fan, was like, you gotta watch the original. I'll bring the DVDs. That's the only place you can fucking find it. So we got the DVDs hooked up to my Xbox. I watched. The voice acting back then was not great. The audio mixing was not great. The animation we'll start off with is actually, for its time, pretty decent. Like, I didn't mind the animation because it was cool big robots fighting. I will say, the robots look really dumb. I don't like the designs, but we'll get to that. The animation, I'll give a 7. The story. Oh, the fucking story, dude. Okay. So, at first, it starts off as this boy who is seemingly destined to pilot this big mech to fight what are called angels, which have destroyed the Earth 2 times already. And they're trying to prevent a 3rd time using these big mechs called Avas. So he's destined to pilot this specific one, and he is a hesitant pilot of it he does not want to do it. He just wants to live a normal life, which I think is a very good dichotomy because, and what I told my friend when he asked me my opinion of the show was, I think the dichotomy of being a boy at that age, seeing a big robot and being the chosen one to pilot it, but not wanting to, is a very interesting character design. The problem with it is they really don't explore that much of it. They keep saying that and they keep giving reasons, but it never really goes anywhere. He just keeps going back to pilot the damn thing, and it doesn't get any better for him. Like, he never learns to like it. He never stops hating it as much as he does. He just keeps doing it. And it's so frustrating to watch because at some point I was just like, let the world end, dude. Like, if you don't want to do this, you have a choice. But to him, he doesn't have a choice, which is interesting character development. But then, like, I don't know, it feels like the choice just kind of gets taken away from him more than him actually making the choice. Other characters, Asuka, annoying cunt. Rei Ayanami, nothing. She is a nothing character. I thought that would be the Rem of this show, the one that I would kind of attach myself to and be like the introverted, quiet girl. But she is nothing. And also the, I don't even remember her name, the adult lady who Shinji kind of on and off maybe had a crush on, but it was just because she was more sexual than anyone else around him. Who she sexually assaulted him, by the way.
Oh, shit.
Hey guys, I don't know if you knew this. In Evangelion, an adult woman kisses a 14-year-old boy and says, if you survive this battle, there will be more waiting for you later.
Ew, she's grooming him.
And then she dies. Yeah. So anyway.
Good. Fuck her.
The whole show is just a clusterfuck of shit. So the story gets a 3.
That's the lowest you've given for a story. Isn't it?
I don't know. Rent a Girlfriend, I think, was also a 3. Yeah, it was.
It? Okay.
The soundtrack. What soundtrack? Truly, chat, the most soundtrack in Evangelion that isn't in the movie is fucking crickets. And I'm not just saying that to be, or no, it's cicadas. It's cicadas. And I'm not just saying that to be like a dick and be like, oh, the music was so bad, it was just crickets and cicadas. There were 3 tracks they had in that show. It was, one of them was a little tom thing that every time an angel showed up, it would start playing formulaically. There was another one where it would fight. There was another one that was supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. And every other time in the show, there was just silence and talking and cicadas. Which can be used to good effect in Serial Experiments Lane, where you're supposed to be uncomfortable and you're supposed to be like trying to think of what the hell is happening while all you hear is power lines and cicadas. But they overuse the fuck out of these cicadas to where sometimes it's just the big robots looking at a big ass alien angel thing, and it's just cicadas. It's the same cicada noise every single time on loop. The same 5-second clip of cicadas on loop. Every time it would pop up, I would turn to Brennan and just be like, here they fucking are again, dude. The fucking cicadas are back. So, the soundtrack, I'm going to give it a 1. Actually, I'm going to give it a 2. Because the movie has Kom Susser Todd, which is actually a really good song. And they play it at the most inappropriate possible time. Anyway. The characters. Fuck the characters in Evangelion. The only one that makes sense is the one that you're supposed to hate the most, and that is Shinji's dad. That is the only character that makes sense. He's just, what you see is what you get. He's a dick. Period. Like, that's his whole thing. Fuck the characters, it gets a 3. The feeling of watching Evangelion is like every single ick that you have found throughout your life whether that be like rubbing a fork on a porcelain plate, trying to scratch a chalkboard with your nails, rubbing styrofoam together, trying to watch Evangelion. It's trying to, like, it's every ick that you've ever had in your life put together for me. If you like it, cool. But for me, it is every ick I've ever put together. The audio production hurts. The characters make no fucking sense and are all over the place. This, like, the entire landscape of the story of the show makes me want to bawl. I was mad. I don't think I was quite as mad as after I watched Barbie, but I was mad enough to where I'm gonna give this this a 2. It's getting a 2. Fuck you. Tallying up the numbers for Evangelion, the highest it got was a 7, and that was for the animation, and that was kind of a pity point because admittedly the big robots are big robots, and it's hard to mess those up. 2 3s make a 6. 2 2s make a 4. That's 10. Plus 7 equals 17 for Evangelion, putting it firmly at the bottom of Grody for my list. I'm going to take a drink of water and let that sink in while ReactBot tells us his thoughts about Evangelion.
To all my haters, look how smooth my skin is.
All right. Evangelion is my least favorite anime I think I've ever watched. All right. Now, let's lighten the mood a little bit and talk about Full Metal Alchemist. I have not finished Full Metal Alchemist. I'm currently watching the 2003 version, which I've heard is not as good as Brotherhood, but I wanted to watch it anyway. I am currently stuck in like the dead center of the show where ain't shit is happening. But for what has happened, animation-wise, I'm gonna give it another 7. It is an older anime. It is dated in some of its animation and sometimes it gets pretty lazy. But when it's good, like some of the effects with the metal that they do, the alchemy effects, pretty good. 7. The story is a very, very solid story. I think the way that it's executed in this older version is not as fun as it could be. But the adventure side of it really does help. I think the story is going to get an 8. I'm going to give it a 7 because I'm a little bit stuck on it in the middle with filler episodes. Soundtrack. One of the best soundtracks I have ever listened to. And I absolutely have 5 to 10 songs on my playlist on repeat all the time. It gets a 10 for the soundtrack. Even in the older version. The newer version I have even more, but the old version even. Fantastic. The characters are extremely endearing, extremely charming. A little one note, but very good. Another 7. And the feeling of watching Full Metal Alchemist is this massive sprawling adventure while also being extremely homey at times. And there are some things about the show that are hard to stomach, but I think it improves the world building to a level that makes it more real. Like, it's not just a fantasy thing where they're playing around with alchemy and they can make whatever happen. Alchemy has extreme consequences if it's used with ill intent. And I'm very glad that they showed that off, even if it kind of hurt. I give it an 8. Tallying up Full Metal Alchemist, our penultimate anime of the evening. There is a reason why it is popular. This is not the most popular version, but it's the same source material for the first half of it, I hear, so there is a reason it is this good. 3 7s make a 21, 10 makes it a 31, and an 8 makes it a 39. Let me plug this in here. So 39 sets it right next to a Silent Voice, which I'm going to put above Spirited Away, right behind a Silent Voice, because I do think a Silent Voice is more rewatchable than Full Metal Alchemist. Our final anime of the evening that I remembered to rank only 5 minutes ago Chris's all-time favorite anime and the first anime that he ever watched. A little bit of backstory on this one for me. I hesitated to watch it for a while because it is made by the same studio that made Evangelion, Studio Trigger. They have a tendency to make these robot mech stories, and they have a tendency to make those mechs make physically no sense. I'm a Transformers guy. Through and through, I'm a Transformers guy, and I like robots to make sense. This guy can stand on his own because he has big, clumpy feet. He has really long legs that are superposable. You could easily put him into a battle stance. He has a lot of armor up at the top and the bottom that would protect him from damage. So let's see what Darling in the Franxx robots look like.
Oh, she's cute. She's got little boots.
So these could absolutely never stand on their own. Like, if you're getting figurines of these, you would absolutely have to get a model kit stand for every single one of them. They proportionately make no sense, but also the way that they operate the mechs, I've seen people criticize before, and I don't have as much of a problem with it. I just do want to question it sometimes. Like, so like, why? Why is this how they do that? The dude, it has to be a dude and a girl, BT dubs. So the dude stands, or the girl lays in this doggy style position. Don't pretend it's not. It is straight up the doggy style position. She sits like that with her butt sticking out, and then controls come out from this butt cheek, which the dude stands behind her and holds and controls like this.
It's fucked up.
It's weird. And there is a reason that they give in the show, but you cannot tell me that this is the most blatant way to add, to just like shoehorn in sexuality to a show that truthfully has a good enough story that it doesn't fucking need it. So let's talk about Darling in the Franxx a little more in depth. The animation is really, really good. I would even go to say it is one of the better animated shows that has come out of this list. I'm going to give it a 10. In all fairness, it is a 10 because everything from the designs of the characters and the way that they're able to move, the physics, the fight scenes, the backgrounds, the settings, really good animation. The story is, it starts off here, right? So like we're in this kind of post-apocalyptic thing where once again there are these Klaxosaur alien type things that came up from the, or I guess they're not aliens, they burrowed up from the earth and are trying to attack Earth, humanity. And they've had to form these pilots, which, surprise, surprise, are fucking piloted by 14-year-old kids, because, you know, why not? Okay, I'm trying to build this up, because it truly, it starts here, and then goes, woo! and like that, it goes, woo! So you're in this kind of post-apocalyptic things with these kaiju monsters that you're fighting with big robots. And then, all of a sudden, there is an intergalactic war that they are taking a part in that circumstantially they caused. And I was like, whoa! Hold your horses. So the story is good. It is a nice kind of love story ish. It is deeply personal throughout the first half, and it is extremely philosophical on the second. I would give it an 8. The soundtrack, don't remember it, but I did remember that it serviced the story, so it was 7. The characters are admittedly extremely engaging. So 02, who is the icon of this entire series, the one with the little devil horns, she's interesting. Reactbot, what do you think about 02?
Yes, speak your truth.
She does. She sure does that. She has flustered many a men who've ever watched this show, for years. So she does her job pretty well. All the other side characters are like neat. They just like in what's the show? Just like in My Hero, they're juggling a lot of characters. A whole team of characters. Less than My Hero, but still a whole team of characters. And they do it pretty well. But they're not as long term, they would not be as endearing as My Heroes are. So I'm gonna give that's why the characters are a 7. Or no. Oh yeah, the characters, I'll give a 7. The feeling of the show. There is some wonder, there is some whimsy, there is some action-packed adventure, there is some romance, there is some sexuality, with a pinch of sexuality, and then a heaping of sexuality. So like there's sexuality, and then there's all that mixes together to make the Darling in the Franxx. Not my favorite, but admittedly very good. So the feeling of watching the show, it ends extremely tight-knit, I would say, with an 8. Tallying up our final anime of the evening, with 2 7s making a 14, 2 8s making a 16, putting us at 30, plus 10 equals 40. Who else have I given a 40? Where did I put Konosuba? All right, I'm going to put it below Konosuba because I just like Konosuba way more. Chat, this, at the end of the day, is my ranking of every anime that I have ever watched. Running through it, we have ReZero, Hajime no Ippo, Don to Don, Frieren Beyond Journey's End, and Beyblade Metal Fight at the tip top. On the rewatchable end, like so good I would go back and watch them. Overlord, Mushoku Tensei, One Punch Man, Konosuba, Darling in the Franxx, A Silent Voice, Full Metal Alchemist 2003, Spirited Away, My Hero Academia, Your Name, Dress Up Darling. In the enjoyable category, it was enjoyable. I think it's better as a one and done though. Is Assassination Classroom, Eminence in Shadow, Serial Experiments Lane, My Neighbor Totoro, Toradora. The meh category, where you could get some enjoyment out of it, but it's definitely not Nothing Home to Write Home About, Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai, Beyblade Shogun Steel, Akame ga Kill, No Longer Allowed in Another World. In the grody category, where I straight up did not enjoy it and I watched it because I had to or because I just wanted to know how this shit show ended. Danganronpa the anime, Alia sometimes hides her feelings in Russian, Rent a Girlfriend, Evangelion, and the have not finished category, which will safely, maybe some of these land in this area someday. The Promised Neverland, Cowboy Bebop, Horimiya, and Golden Kamuy. Chat, thank you so much for joining this on adventure. Reactbot, what is your favorite anime? If you were to describe what your favorite anime would be like.
It's giving zest.
You want your anime zesty? We've got some fucking picks for you, bro. Darling in the Franxx might just be your shit. It's a little bit zesty. Actually, Golden Kamuy gets really gay, and it's pretty zesty. I'm serious. Like, middle of season 2, it gets so gay. It's funny.
A funny gay, not a serious.
It's a funny gay, yeah. But yes, after 3.5 hours, we're finished.